LSU football.
Johnson taking some time. Now calls for the football. He has it. Looking left. Drops it off underneath. Besh has it at the 5. Besh squirts through 2 defenders into the end zone. Touchdown, Fighting Tigers. Johnson trying to drop it off into the flat. Does to Brian Thomas near side. He will walk into the end zone. Touchdown, Fighting Tigers.
LSU football on Eagle 98.1, the flagship home of the Tigers. Tonight from Tiger Stadium, it's the LSU Tigers and the Arkansas Razorbacks. Now, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios, here's Matt Moscona and Jeremy Hill.
Good afternoon and welcome to Eagle 98.1 Game Day. I'm Matt Moscona. Jeremy Hill will join me shortly. It's hard to believe it's been 10 weeks since LSU opened up the season on the road at the Rose Bowl. Last week, LSU concluded its road trips this season with a near upset at number 2 Alabama. If the Tigers are to go on the road again this season, it would be to a bowl game. And to do that, they'll have to win 2 of their final 3 games at home. That starts today with upstart Arkansas visiting Death Valley. In an interesting twist, Sam Pittman got the Arkansas job in large part because of the early success Ed Orgeron had at LSU. Pittman is Orgeron's coaching peer. He bleeds Arkansas red. He's never been a coordinator, but has the reputation as an elite line coach and recruiter. He's hired 2 great coordinators in Barry Odom and Kendall Briles. And last week, Arkansas clinched their first bowl berth since 2016. His challenge at Arkansas will be sustaining success, something Orgeron wasn't able to do in Baton Rouge. But that's a conversation for another day. At present, nobody's really sure what to make of these 2 teams. Will we see the inspired LSU we saw against Florida and Alabama, or the team that wilted against Kentucky and Ole Miss? Arkansas climbed as high as number 8 in the rankings this year, but 3 consecutive losses sent them tumbling. Their early win over Texas doesn't look as impressive as it did at the time, and their defense allowed 52 points in a loss at Ole Miss. It's clear these 2 programs are traveling down different roads that intersect today at 6:30 p.m. in Tiger Stadium. This series has seen its share of thrillers and oddities. In fact, LSU played a ranked Arkansas team with a lame duck interim head coach in 1999 and upset the 17th ranked Hogs 35-10. With 2 more starters out, adding to an already extensive list of injuries, it's fair to ask how much gas LSU has left in the tank on this 2021 road trip. We'll know tonight if it's enough to carry Ed Orgeron through 1 more bowl season as LSU head coach. It's LSU and Arkansas. We're counting you down right here on Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
During these challenging times, we know your healthcare needs don't stop. Cancer, accidents, injuries, and heart disease are relentless. So we are relentlessly innovating to keep you safe, both virtually and in person, connecting you with providers remotely, advancing clinical spaces, providing rapid and accurate testing, social distancing, and certified cleaning protocols. We are Auctioner, and we will not slow down. Auctioner Health, innovating healthcare.
The saying goes, desperate times call for desperate measures. But Louisiana heat is nothing to play with. AC outages hurt everyone. Don't be a victim. Call AccuTemp and schedule your maintenance check today.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
They said I was small, weak, said my heart wasn't strong enough. But I showed them what heart looked like, again and again and again. Mom got me the right care, the right doctors with Blue Cross coverage. Don't let people tell you who you are. Show them the right card, the right care.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors.
Eagle 98.1.
And a good Saturday afternoon, Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Matt Moscona, Matt Musso, Danny Cardez, now joined by Jeremy Hill. How are you doing?
I'm doing solid, man. How you doing?
You gotta get fired up when you wake up on a day like this. Like, I'm not the weather guy or anything, but how could you not love being around campus on a day like this? The sun's shining, a little chill in the air. It just feels like football. It's an awesome day, man.
Yeah, this is what we call football weather down here.
Yeah.
I lived up north for a little bit, and they called, negative 10 degrees. No, this is football weather right here, what we got today in Baton Rouge. You got to love it.
I'm watching Penn State, Michigan, and it looks like they're playing in slow motion. I'm like, that is such a quintessential Big Ten game. I think we're going to see a little bit difference today. Give me a perspective from a player on a day like this, where you're LSU, you're 4-5, disappointing loss to Bama. How do you get back up off the mat after last week, being so close, man? I mean, I know you're 2 years at LSU. Y'all experienced the same thing, so close in 12 and 13, and you got to pick yourself up the next week.
Yeah, it's very tough, but I think a unique situation, especially for this football team. A lot of the guys that are playing today, they haven't played much college football, and for a lot of them, guys like Pig Cage, it's going to be their first time playing in Tiger Stadium. So they're going to have a big opportunity to introduce themselves to the fan base and introduce themselves to their family and loved ones. And I think a lot of guys, it's easy to get that emotional rise, especially in a situation like this when you haven't had opportunities to go out there and really show what you can do. So I think a lot of these guys, that's what they'll be hanging their hat on today.
There is something to that. Like, I know we've had this conversation a lot this week about where will LSU be emotionally, and it's tough to say. I mean, it's such a weird season. You got a lame duck coach for 8 weeks and all that stuff, but it is true where individually, if you're a guy that hasn't played much and this is your chance, I say it's like you let a puppy off its leash and they're just running around. You're gonna see great effort. It's funny you mentioned Pig Cage too. Like there was a 3rd and 10 last week in the first quarter against Alabama, and I go, Pig Cage is on the field. Like a big, you know what I mean? Early in the game, big play. And it's no disrespect, but for those who don't know, Pig Cage went to Rummel in New Orleans. He did the spring season last year at Nichols, transferred to LSU, and that dude's out there running around, making plays against the number 2 team in the country. Like, of course it's going to, that guy's going to be sky high getting that opportunity. I mean, I think you're going to see a lot of that. What do you think about the guys on the line this week that are going to step in?
Man, it seems like we can't get any luck, especially on the offensive line. But if I'm Coach Davis and the crew, I'll probably go Marlon Martinez. I like what he did and the effort he gave in that Florida game. Obviously, our best rushing performance all year.
Yeah.
And maybe you go Charles Turner. It's really not many guys you can really dig to at this point. Maybe Dellinger. I think that's really as far as you can stretch it after that. I'm out of names after you name those 3 guys. So I think you'll see a rotation of those 3 and kind of see which ones are playing the best.
I think at practice this week, Garrett Dellinger was working at left guard. For those that missed it, Ed Ogeron did announce on his radio show that LSU is going to be without Jason Hines for the rest of the year, and right guard, Ed Ingram, the left guard Ed Ingram, Hines on the right side. Ingram got dinged in practice. Sounded like it maybe just, maybe got, I don't want to say the word concussion. That wasn't really reported, but it just kind of said he had a little head injury and was going to miss this week. So you had 2 new starting offensive guards. Let me ask you, LSU running the football, 3 of the last 4 games, Ty Davis Price has gone over 100 yards rushing. They found a little something there. How big of an impact is it fundamentally from what LSU wants to do. It sounds, we talked a lot about them having success with the counter plays with those two new guards in there.
Yeah, it's tough. And I think the beauty of it, we have seen this Arkansas defense have some days where they give it up. And so you run into a team where if things start going your way, they have opened that door for teams to really blow the door out. So that's the beauty of going against a team like this. You feel like you don't have to have your best guys out there, and you can still have a chance to have a day. So I think you'll continue to see those counter plays. Those are the plays I think they block the most. The only thing I would love to see more of is more counter plays, more counter pass plays off of that.
Yeah, you mentioned that last week. Yeah,
maybe some RPOs off of that, and really get those linebackers flying in, because if you're flying in right there, it's going to leave the middle of the field wide open.
Right, because that's you did a good job explaining that last week, where we saw against Florida, LSU have so much success. Then against Ole Miss, they tried to run the same plays but didn't have success. So it's like if you're Jake Peete, you want to build off of that package. What about blocking? I mean, admittedly, we haven't seen much of Martinez. I mean, Martinez was in the game against Florida, like you mentioned. And Dellinger, we've seen mostly as like a tackle and a jumbo kind of, tight end extra blocker. Yeah. But man, if you're going to be running counter plays, you got to get on your horse and go pull. I don't know how Garrett Dellinger is as a pulling guard. I mean, any ideas how he fits in there?
Yeah, that's a night and day thing. Most of the time, your tackles are going to be your guys getting out on screen passes, so it's a different type of block. You're just a kick out block, and a lot of these, pull plays, you're going to have defensive ends, what we call wrong arming, and that's kind of diving at your legs or kind of just trying to blow up the play. And if you're not really athletic, those guys are just going to blow it up and make a hole right there in front of the offensive line. So I think for guys like that, the repetitions in practice really matter, especially in a week like this. You got to get the reps out there and just feel yourself out there going through it, and how they're going to block it, how they're going to counter it, and hopefully after a week of that, you can kind of get your feet wet. But you'll see tonight. I think it's really hard to tell right now. I haven't watched all the clips from practice, but to answer your question, it's a very tough transition.
Dude, I used to love pulling. I mean, I was a guard. I wasn't the biggest. I mean, I'm talking high school. It's not SEC, but love to get out there, man. Try to blow up an end or something like that. So those kind of plays were fun. The other maybe interesting note tonight is that it looks like Cordell Flott's going to be back after missing last week. Traylon Burks is the big guy. He's the big weapon Arkansas has on offense. He's, for those that don't know, he's a speedy wideout who could play inside and out. And he's projected as a first-round draft pick. So is that one of those things where if Cordell Flott is back, I don't know if LSU's done much of shadowing this year. Do you just say, Flott, you got him, or depending on how they move him around the formation, you just let whoever's there take him?
Yeah, I think the shadowing is for maybe a defense that we had earlier this year, not based off the defense Durante ran last week, where you're just in man, pretty much the standard. We're in man, we're lining up in it, deal with it. If you're in a game plan like that, yeah, we've seen that. We've seen Patrick Peterson follow guys before, but I think what you're going to be running this week, you got to have faith in Dwight McLaughlin. You got to let him be on the outside, and I think you got to put Flott on the outside as well, and continue to switch it up. Do what you did last week. I think when you follow receivers, you give a dead tell that you're in man-to-man coverage, and the great offensive coordinators are going to scheme you up, run their pick plays, run the different things to utilize you running man coverage. And
Kendall Briles is a great play caller. Kendall Briles was the architect behind those great Baylor offenses with his dad, Art Briles, who was there as the head coach at the time. He's now the OC at Arkansas. The interesting thing, though, is that this Arkansas team isn't, with KJ Jefferson at quarterback, isn't really the team that spreads it out and throws it a ton. They like to run it a lot. And KJ Jefferson keeps the mistakes to a minimum. They're an interesting team because they kind of are doing more with less this year. But how good are they when they're not a physical match to a team like LSU, even down some numbers? We're going to get that answer here throughout the course of the show today. We got a lot to get to. Jimmy Ott will be here for Otter Locks in about 15 minutes from right now. Jeremy's weekday partner, Hunt Palmer, will be with us in about 45 minutes. Shea Dixon at 3 o'clock today for a little recruiting update. We will also have our opposing media. We'll go inside the stadium. A ton to do here as we're counting you down here, LSU and Arkansas. When we come back, we'll take a look at the scores from around the country. Oklahoma, undefeated Oklahoma, is in big trouble in Waco against Baylor. We'll also get you an update on Auburn and Mississippi State. That's a tight game. And Penn State and Michigan as well. Some big ones here in this morning window as those are starting to creep into the fourth quarter. We'll get you a scoreboard when we return here on Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Starting in 1974, Central Plumbing has served Baton Rouge and surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Through these tough and trying times, we want you to remember that the Payne family is here to continue to support and serve you. As a multi-generational business, there is no job that is too big or too small, residential, commercial, Industrial Hospitality, we're here for anything you need. 24/7, 365. Give us a call, 225-925-8552.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
To the heroes who are working tirelessly to care for our communities, we thank you. We will never forget the countless hours you dedicated on the front lines, choosing to risk your own health to fight for our friends, neighbors, and family members.
I mean, you guys are out on the front lines fighting it.
We are grateful for your heroic acts and unwavering spirit. Together, we are overcoming this adversity and make our state healthier and more vibrant again. Ochsner Health.
Named Dyson, who has always done things differently. An artist at heart and a brain. Making things better was in his bones. Hence a cordless vacuum with a power and pickup that takes care of pet hair. So that's how we ended up here.
I love it.
Dog hair gone. So now dog here, who is aptly named Dyson. So now Sadie has 2 Dysons and 1 great holiday tale to tell. QVC and HSN. This is shopping brought to life.
Eagle 98.1, the dependable storage college football scoreboard. Dependable storage. Let us store your stuff. DependableStorage.com.
Let's take a look at what's going on around the country here as the morning window games have all kind of moved into the fourth quarter now. We'll run through the top 25. Second-ranked Alabama, no problem with New Mexico State. The only question is, would they cover the 51.5? Well, it's 56-3 with 11 minutes to play. So as of now, Bama's covering the number. I mean, that's I don't ever mess with a spread like that. You get up to 50, man, you're up over half a hundy. I'm not interested. I'll just check the score and see how it might play out.
Yeah, they can never have a let up, huh? They just can't get upset by someone. They can't have like a Florida versus Sanford moment like they're having right now. Just
we're going to get to
that. Never happening with old Nick.
We're going to get to that. Bryce Young's 21 of 23 with 5 touchdowns in that game. They moved into the fourth quarter up at Happy Valley. It's the game on ABC. Michigan leads Penn State 14-6, but Michigan is punting. The punter standing about 3 yards deep in his own end zone here. So Penn State figures to get really good field position here. But Michigan, after trailing 3-0 early, put up touchdowns in the second and third quarters. Penn State just a pair of field goals in this game. This is the quintessential Big Ten football game. I mean, this game looks like it's being played in slow motion. I mean, 14-6. It feels like we're watching football from the 1930s.
Yeah, there's not much going on. Just a bunch of punts, not many electric plays or explosive plays going on. It's just, not too hot to watch.
When you get fired up punters, nothing says Big Ten like pumped up punters. We'll keep you posted there. Sean Clifford is playing. He's 18 of 31 for 172 in the game. Now, the big story here, the morning window, is that undefeated and 8th-ranked Oklahoma on the road in Waco against Baylor, and they are trailing by 10. Baylor leads Oklahoma 17-7. Spencer Rattler has come back into the game. Caleb Williams had been starting for OU since that Texas game. Spencer Rattler back in for Oklahoma. Baylor currently has the ball at their own 28-yard line, facing a 2nd and 2. There's 9 minutes to play in this ball game. Oklahoma, if they're going to win this one and remain unbeaten, they're going to have to find some magic like they did against Kansas in that second half, but where they were shut out in the first half. But this is a big spot for Oklahoma and a big playoff potential spot here.
All I keep thinking about is do not let Cincinnati get backdoored into this thing with all these teams losing, man. Like, what are we doing, Oklahoma? Like, I guess, man, tough Big 12 battle for them on the road, switching quarterbacks. They lose this one, man. That door gets a little bit bigger for the Cincinnati.
They ain't putting Cincinnati in the playoff. They're going to find a way to keep them out because they don't deserve to be in. But I understand your point. Trust me, I am right there with you, bro. Like, do not shoehorn them in. Oklahoma with a big sack. So we'll keep an eye on that, let you know if Baylor's able to close it out or if OU rallies. In the SEC, 17th ranked Auburn at home against Mississippi State. Auburn a 28-23 lead right now as they head to the fourth quarter. Auburn was up big at half. It was 28-10. Looked like they were going to cruise in this ball game. Old Mike Leach, man, Mississippi State just won't go away, and State is driving right now. So it's a 5-point game. And forgive me, I think Mississippi State's about to. Well, they're at commercial now. We'll see if Mississippi State still has the ball. I didn't see the end of this drive, but. Will Rogers, 34 of 44 for 295 and 3 scores in this ballgame. Efficient, man.
Yeah, very efficient. And it just puts so much stress on your defensive line to continue to have to rush the passer for, 70, 80 plays, man. That pass rush gets dead, and Will Rogers just sits back there all day, and he can find his targets, man. It's a very tough offense to go against. It's hard to simulate that at practice.
So it is into the fourth quarter now. Mississippi State has the ball just outside of the Auburn 20-yard line. It looks like Auburn's going to get flagged for pass interference. So State is going to move into the red zone here, trailing by 5. We'll keep you posted there with Mississippi State and Auburn. In the Big Ten, Wisconsin 18th ranked, no problem with Northwestern. They're up 35-7. Wisconsin with that tough start, a few tough losses. They have really rallied. They're 6-3 on the season, looking to move to 7-3. Out west, Utah playing in Tucson against Arizona. And Arizona with a 14-7 lead there in the first quarter over the 24th ranked Utes. It's big because Utah leading the Pac-12 South. I mean, they got a 5-1. You can't end up and lose to a team like Arizona, but it's a big one for Utah.
That's so bad. All I can remember about this Arizona Wildcats team, they were holding tryouts about week 2 or 3 for regular students to come try out for the team. They'll let you know where that Wildcat program is, so you better not lose to them.
Went out to Tucson when LSU played there in 2003. It was a fun trip because nobody cared. They left you alone. I remember we were at a bar on campus the night before the Friday night before the game, and there were these soccer hooligans hanging out. They're like, "What are y'all here for?" We're like, "Here for the game." They're like, "Oh, there's a game tomorrow?" They thought we were talking about basketball. It's like, no, it's the football game. Like, y'all came here for a football game? Yes, we did.
Yeah, that's not much national buzz, man.
It's a different world out there in Tucson.
Totally different.
At 2:30, top-ranked Georgia on the road in Neyland against Tennessee. Georgia's a 19.5-point favorite. Lane Kiffin was the celebrity guest picker on College Game Day today. They were in Oxford. He gave. It's got to be the first time ever they let a coach pick games. But he picked Tennessee to upset Georgia. What do you think about that?
Whoa, Nelly. We're gonna whoa Nelly that one now. I got the dogs there. Too much defense, man. That defense means business. I love what they're doing over there in Tennessee with Hypo and the crew, the tempo, and really getting to the line. But Kirby will be ready for all that, man. I got the dogs there.
Kiffin did say that Tennessee's a dangerous place to play. It was a really good line. Purdue and Ohio State, the spoiler Boilers, after doing it again last week, they're on the road in Columbus today against 4th-ranked Ohio State. Think Ohio State has any problem with Purdue today?
Man, they didn't look too hot last week, but I think they'll handle business in the shoe.
Mississippi State is taking the lead on Auburn. They do convert Rogers to Polk, a 6-yard touchdown pass. So Mississippi State has the lead on Auburn, 29-28. They're going to go for 2. We'll let you know if they're able to convert. Also in the top 25 at 2:30, 20th ranked Iowa hosts Minnesota. Southern Miss is at 23rd ranked Texas San Antonio. People keep talking about Cincinnati. What about undefeated Texas San Antonio? I mean, if you're gonna force feed me Cincinnati, you can't ignore Texas San Antonio. They're undefeated.
Man, we got to draw the line somewhere, and there has to be a line somewhere. I guess if you're gonna, they got Cincinnati in the AP poll like 2 last week or something. Like, what is the AP poll doing? Like, we got to stop this.
Maryland is at 7th ranked Michigan State. Of course, Michigan State fell for the first time last week. The big one in the SEC, where College Game Day was, Texas A&M is at Ole Miss. It's the 11th ranked Aggies at the 15th ranked Rebels. Both are 7-2 overall. A&M 4-2 in the league. Ole Miss 3-2 in the league. You got a feel on that one in Oxford tonight?
My gut's telling me A&M, but my heart's it's telling me Ole Miss. So I'm gonna take Ole Miss, and I'm gonna go with my heart on this one. I think Lane draws it up, gets it done in the VOT, baby.
Aggies defense. We'll go head-to-head on that one. Notre Dame, 9th ranked. They're on the road in Charlottesville against Virginia. How about this ranked-on-ranked matchup in the ACC? You got the NC State Wolfpack at 12th ranked Wake Forest, the Demon Deacons. So they lost last week to North Carolina. I didn't even realize while we were watching that was a non-conference game.
Really? ACC and Big East?
No. It's 8. They're both in the ACC, but they weren't scheduled to play each other, and so they just scheduled a game. There was a series that they scheduled. So North Carolina and Wake Forest played last week, but that was a non-conference game for the two of them. So Wake Forest is still undefeated in the ACC, and they control their destiny in that division. This is a massive game in the ACC to get to the ACC championship game.
So basically, a one-loss Wake Forest that wins the ACC. That's a bid.
There's no way.
There's no way. Not. I mean, unless
I'm just saying
Cincinnati's sitting there undefeated, but I don't know. That's a weird setup, but I didn't like their defense. Their offense is their offense is explosive, but their defense is atrocious.
So you get a look at Sam Hartman, who's thrown for just under 3,000 yards and 27 touchdowns already this year. Tonight, TCU, after their upset last week, is on the road of Baylor. They're on the road at 10th ranked Oklahoma State. Washington State is on the road at Oregon. That's for the lead in the Pac-12 North, by the way. This is a very relevant game in the Pac-12, and certainly for Oregon and their playoff hopes, as they are second in the third in the playoff standings. And then Nevada at 22nd ranked San Diego State. That's your top 25. We look at some scores from around the SEC as well, because I know Jeremy's been aching to talk about what's going on in Gainesville right now. We told you, so Mississippi State did not convert the 2, so it's a 29-28. Bulldogs leading Auburn right now, early in the fourth quarter. Florida is hanging on against Samford. That's Samford. That's the 3-5 Samford Bulldogs of the FCS. Florida's leading 56-49. So apparently, firing your defensive coordinator Todd Grantham didn't exactly prove to be the cure-all.
Man, that's bad. Talk about a fall from grace. That is just so bad to watch that Florida program come to what it is now. And I think Dan Mullen, man, they might have to speed that process up, man. You can't be struggling at Sanford, and God forbid y'all lose that game. I think it's gonna be a fire sale up in Gainesville.
You just hate to see it. Yeah. You just hate to see it, don't you? You just hate to see.
Not too much hate.
Yeah, you just hate to see Florida losing or struggling with Samford. I mean, golly, you just. Really brings a tear to your eye on this Saturday. Hell, man, I watched Florida whip the crap out of the SEC long enough in the Spurrier days. When they started struggling with Ron Zook, I mean, watch, everyone gets their comeuppance. And, like, Bama's day is coming. Like, one day in the year 2475 when Nick retires, like, Bama's going to get their comeuppance. And the league is going to get their shots hit against them eventually. Again, it means eventually. But we may not be old enough or live long enough to see it. But it's going to happen. And Florida gets theirs, too, at times. All right, Georgia, as we mentioned, on the road in Knoxville today at 2:30. South Carolina is at Missouri. How about South Carolina a win away from bowl eligibility? You think they get it today?
I took South Carolina. Yeah, I took South Carolina. And the immortal Jason Brown at quarterback, Willing and Dillon. Man, I missed my boy Zeb Nolan. Got a little Luke Doty out there. But no, my boy Jason Brown is going to get it done.
Texas A&M and Ole Miss, we mentioned 6 o'clock. And also at 6, Kentucky is at Vanderbilt. The Wildcats are at 6-3. All right, it is Eagle 98.1 Game Day presented by Home Bank and your Super Chevy dealers. We'll visit with Jimmy Ott, little Otter Locks, before that 2:30 slate kicks off. See what the Otters got if you're placing your wagers. Of course, you can place wagers at the sports books around town now, so get on out and do that if you so choose. Otter Locks is next here on Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Tonight, we invite you to celebrate life. wherever and whenever you can, understanding that time is never on our side. Instead, gather up your friends tonight and share a few stories and laughs over a good bottle of wine. Or maybe a family meal that gives everyone a chance to reconnect and remember what's really important, whether it's for a birthday, an anniversary, or simply to remind someone special that they are loved. Ruffino's, where Louisiana comes to celebrate life.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
They said I was small, weak, said my heart wasn't strong enough. But I showed them what heart looked like, again and again and again. Mom got me the right care, the right doctors with Blue Cross coverage. Don't let people tell you who you are. Show them the right card, the right care.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law offices of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed
Eagle 98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Otter Locks. Presented by Lofton Staffing Services. Lofton Staffing Services. For over 40 years, providing staffing solutions to make your company more efficient, cost-effective, and profitable. 924-0200. And loftonstaffing.com. Now, here's Jimmy Ott.
All right, so we turn to Jimmy Otter, joins us here on a beautiful Saturday in the capital city. Otter, how are you, man?
A lot better, Matthew, with that touchdown two-point conversion for the Nittany Lions. My man James Franklin was rolling a solid F in game management today until that one.
I got a money line play on the Nittany Lions as well. For those that aren't watching, Penn State did just score on a 4th and goal from the 2. They went for 2, got it. It's 14-all right now with 7:35 to play there in State College. Also, Baylor has gone into the end zone again.
Yeah.
Baylor now leading Oklahoma 24-7. That is all but over. There's about 4 minutes to play in that ball game. So Dave Aranda's crew continues their impressive march. They're going to look at 8-2, and Oklahoma's going to fall for the first time this year. Did you have any of those plays?
I got a little dog money line parlay on Baylor, Penn State, and Boston College, 13-1. Wow. Come on, baby. Come on, James Franklin. Come on, baby.
All right, Otter, let's look at what we got coming up here in the afternoon slot. I want to start with let's just go down the list. You mentioned Boston College, Georgia Tech. What do you like there?
Well, Boston College has been one of the worst teams offensively once their quarterback Jerkovich got hurt. ACC actually had some really good quarterbacks all over the place in their conference this year. He came back last week. If you know anything about their tradition, red bandana night, kind of a big deal. He was not 100%. They only won 17-3, but he played, and he should be just a little bit more healthy this week. this line is made up of all of Boston College's results. It is night and day with him in the lineup and without. Georgia Tech, they covered last week, but they were outgained by 240 yards in Miami last week. I got BC plus a 1.5.
How sad is it that Miami, Florida State just doesn't matter at all? It's in Tallahassee. Miami's a 2.5-point favorite. Who do you like?
Well, I remember when Sam Darnold came in and kind of extended Clay Helton's tenure over at Southern Cal for another 5 years. We always compare USC and Miami, the markets that they're in, kind of a pro town, big town, not typical college towns by any stretch. This kid Van Dyke is doing the same thing for Manny Diaz and what Sam Darnold did for Clay Helton. He has been unbelievable. Number 11 in passer efficiency, and he's so much better than De'Ara King was. And it makes a completely different light on it. I alluded to the Georgia Tech game earlier. 560 yards of offense. I mean, they're putting up 500 yards every week. Florida State can't match them for scores here. I've got Miami. I love Miami minus the 2.5.
Otter, what about Michigan State? Bounce back spot after their first loss of the year?
That's what everybody say. This spot is a little suspiciously low. Always look at spot and, maybe who's looking ahead, things like that. Michigan State kind of hanging their heads a little bit. Their pass defense is terrible. They give up 563 yards of passing offense to Purdue. Joe Tiller and Drew Brees are gone. You can't be giving up that many yards to those guys. Lil Tua in Maryland, they're not great defensively, but they do have a top 15 passing attack in the country. Michigan State peeking ahead to Ohio State a little bit next week. I like Maryland in this spot. I know it's a major public play for Michigan State. I just think it's a tough spot for them, and they're finally getting into the tougher part of their schedule because the first half was pretty weak.
How are we feeling about Sam Pittman and the crew coming into Death Valley?
Oh, Jeremy, I think that was LSU's kind of Super Bowl last week. It was a big effort, and then boom, here we go again. Maybe your best two offensive linemen are out. I just think this game means a lot more to Arkansas than it does to LSU. I like the Razorbacks. I think Pittman. Listen, this Arkansas schedule's been rough, really, really rough. I mean, it's the toughest schedule in all of college football. And then we're watching Mississippi State come back from 28-3. They're leading, and now in the red zone trying to extend that lead. That was a nice win for Arkansas. It was a well-played game. They don't beat themselves. I think he's done a great job. And I've mentioned this before, what they've done with Browse, what Kendall Browse has done with Jefferson. He's a much better thrower. We know he's a load to bring down. I do not like the spot here for the Tigers. I like Arkansas.
Hey, the other SEC game that you got listed is Ole Miss and Texas A&M. Aggies are a slight road favorite tonight.
Well, I think it's going to be popping, man. Ole Miss 7-2, and I just A&M score with a defensive score last week against Auburn. I just think this is going to be an electric atmosphere. We know that game day was there. I'm a little concerned about Corral. Look, when you run it that much, and he designed runs about 10 times a game. You throw in his scrambles for another 6-7 also that that he has, and kind of taking his toll. He's not a big guy. I've stood next to him at media days. He's not a big guy. I'm worried about that. But I love the atmosphere, the home crowd. I think it makes a difference for Ole Miss against A&M.
A strip sack, by the way, for Penn State. So
with
under 7 to play in a 14-all ball game, Penn State has the ball at the Michigan 11-yard line, 1st and 10. So we'll keep
As we speak, too, Mississippi State scores another touchdown. So they're up 8 now, and they will kick this one.
How about that?
What a
Will
comeback.
Rogers. Yeah, they're up 35-28, PAT pending here. All right, Otter, Air Force, Colorado State, what you got?
I like this Air Force team. It was a tough luck loser. They outgained Army last week, but they took the 4th down attempt to really kill them. Colorado State. So if you happen to watch Wyoming last night, they're not too good, but, that back door still stung. Still hurts a little bit from last night. Colorado State gave up 385 yards rushing to Wyoming. They had a little bit of a game going on, and it's just. I'm sorry, I was distracted. They're really weak on run. So now you bring in Air Force. They run the ball a little bit. I think it's a great matchup for Air Force in Colorado Springs. I mean, in-state rivalry a little bit, but give me the Falcons in that ground attack against a really weak rushing defense in Colorado State.
I'm going to call this team the Dream Spoilers because they've been spoiling dreams all year. Purdue, do you think they can take down the Buckeyes?
I'll take your Dream Spoilers, and I'll raise you. How about the Spoiler Makers? Huh, Jeremy?
Yeah,
How about that,
yeah,
baby?
there you go.
So it's a lot of points. Ohio State has been really bogging down in the red zone. Their last 13 trips to the red zone, they've attempted 9 field goals. You can't be kicking field goals when you lay in 3 touchdowns. Give me Purdue plus the big number. I know they looked bad the first time. They had a big win against Iowa, and they got destroyed against Wisconsin. I think they'll handle the big upset win a little bit better this time. And, yes, they have a very good passing game that should be able to – I think they might be able to hang around with Ohio State in this game.
The other Big Ten one you got is Iowa and Minnesota. PJ Fleck looks like he's looking for the escape hatch there up in Minneapolis. What do you think about that game tonight?
3 teams last week was much more highly ranked in the committee's poll, the first poll, than what they were in the Vegas power ratings. And that was Michigan State, Wake Forest, and Minnesota. And all 3 of them went down. Minnesota, I think PJ Fleck's a pretty good coach. He's brought them to respectability. But this is going to be too much, especially on the road. And old school Kirk Barron, he doesn't like all of PJ's little antics. He's going to play it on if he has a choice. Now, Iowa, without their starting quarterback, that's not necessarily a bad thing. He wasn't real good to begin with. It's not exactly a downgrade. I like the Hawkeyes at home much, much better defensively than Minnesota.
Okay.
We got Iowa State. They're going to Lubbock. Who do you like in that one?
Wanted to see how the Red Raiders responded to their coach getting launched mid-season. Wasn't real good against Oklahoma. And we're watching Oklahoma. They're just not that good this year. And so Iowa State, now that's a team that the power ratings, them and Wisconsin, even when they were struggling and losing games, Vegas still had them pretty high with their power ratings. They're now kind of coming around. Big second half in Ames against Texas last week. I'm going with Iowa State to kind of keep it going a little bit against the inferior Texas Tech Red Raiders.
He's Jimmy Ott. Game Time with Jimmy Ott every weekday, 6 to 8 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Otter's with us here on Eagle 98.1 Game Day, giving you some picks. There's a big old boatload of them to go get lucky and cash some tickets. Otter, tell the folks about Lofton Staffing Services.
Yes, indeed. You solve your staffing puzzle, call Lofton Staffing Services at 924-0200. They recruit, screen, and interview people so you get the right guy for the job. No matter what you need, temp to hire, direct hire, Lofton does it. They handle all the payroll functions as well. Lofton Staffing Services, 924-0200 and LoftonStaffing.com. That's enough for you? You need more? Huh?
Otter, good luck. Thank you for the picks.
Come on, Ned Line.
You see, that's Jimmy Ott. Penn State did convert the field goal. So Penn State with a 17-14 lead on top of Michigan. That's in Happy Valley. I'm trying to get exactly how much time's left in that ball game right now. I'm trying to see exactly. It's 6. They're a commercial. So about 6 minutes to play. It's 17-14, 5:55. So 6 minutes to play with Penn State leading Michigan 17-14. As Otter mentioned, Mississippi State did go into the end zone. They're leading at Jordan-Hare 36-28 with 9:20 to play in that ball game. Bo Nix and Auburn have the ball. And it looks like Baylor, who did recover the Oklahoma onside kick attempt, Baylor's going to hang on, and they are going to beat Oklahoma 24-14. They're up 10. Baylor's up 10 with a minute and a half to play, and the clock is rolling. So Baylor's going to win that one. We'll keep you posted. I do need to go catch. We have an update on Florida. Are they losing yet? You got it?
They're winning by 10, 62-52. About 8 minutes or so. About 8 minutes or so.
So Florida's on SEC Plus or ESPN Plus. So you have to stream that game if you want to check it out. So we'll keep you posted on that one as well. All right, it's Eagle 98.1 Game Day. We'll come back a little talking Tigers. Hunting Hill along the way as well. A scouting report, Shea Dixon. Ton to do. Counting you down to LSU and Arkansas right here on Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
The saying goes, desperate times call for desperate measures. But Louisiana Heat is nothing to play with. AC outages hurt everyone. Don't be a victim. Call Accutemp and schedule your maintenance check today.
Service Mastery Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Mastery Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Mastery Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
To the heroes who are working tirelessly to care for our communities, we thank you. We will never forget the countless hours you dedicated on the front lines, choosing to risk your own health to fight for our friends, neighbors, and family members.
I mean, you guys are out on the front lines fighting it.
We are grateful for your heroic acts and unwavering spirit. Together, we are overcoming this adversity and make our state healthier and more vibrant again. Auctioner Health.
Starting in 1974, Central Plumbing has served Baton Rouge and surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Through these tough and trying times, we want you to remember that the Payne family is here to continue to support and serve you. As a multi-generational business, there is no job that is too big or too small. Residential, commercial, industrial, hospitality, we're here for anything you need. 24/7, 365. Give us a call, 225-925-8552.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Eagle 98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Talkin' Tigers. Talkin' Tigers. Presented by Louisiana Land Bank. Louisiana Land Bank. They're experts in rural land and equipment lending. Talkin' Tigers. LSU linebacker Damone Clark.
Mike is a guy. I'm excited for Mike, man. When he got the sack, I was one of the first guys right there, because it's a surreal feeling because, just knowing that, he didn't play that much, but his number was called. He went in that game and, he balled out. So I'm excited for Mike.
LSU defensive end B.J. Ojulari.
I think a bowl appearance would mean a lot to the team, especially, the coaches are going out. So it's a great way to go out, especially I haven't been to a bowl game. So it's going to be a great experience for me, more time with the team and more time to bond.
LSU linebacker Mike Jones Jr.
Yeah, I think so, absolutely. Like the whole thing was when I came here, learning and, learning how to play the box and playing the box has been something, that, I've had to work on. And I feel like I've gotten a lot better at that throughout the season. I feel like I can go out there and can do it at a high level. But, at this point, we got some guys hurt and, they need somebody to step in. And so I feel like, just with the things we put in place within the scheme last week, I have a lot of abilities that kind of cater to, that type of, defense we were planning on playing. And so I think that was just the opportunity and, what they needed me to be. And so I went out there and did it.
LSU linebacker Damone Clark.
I'm more of a be where your feet are type guy, but, I do want to play in the bowl game, and we got to take it one day at a time, one game at a time, though, and the rest will take care of itself.
LSU defensive end B.J. Ojulari.
I just believe everybody just got to come with the same mentality for the last 3 weeks. The team that you saw out on the field against Alabama is really the team that we had all year. I just think our mentality changed, and we sparked something that night.
LSU linebacker Mike Jones Jr.
He has opened my mind up, to a completely different style of play. Like I said, I played, a different role, and I've had to come in and learn. And just like the way he's able to present me the stuff that I needed to learn, I feel like I'm way ahead of where I, should have been, and got ahead pretty earlier, too. Like I said, I feel like I could go out there and compete now at any of our linebacker positions and go compete at the highest level if I needed to. He's a great coach. He really takes the time out to really teach things. I think he does an amazing job with our drills during individual, to get us ready for Saturday. And, great coach, great person, man. Just a great leader to have in front of our whole group, man. He's a great dude.
LSU linebacker Damone Clark.
Oh, they run the ball. The quarterback, he runs the ball. He's a big quarterback. And we know, what I'm saying, if you don't see nobody who can throw the ball to you, of course he's gonna take out running with it. So the biggest thing we gotta just do, stop the run, have some fun. That's what Coach Carter always say. So stop the run on first and second down, third down. We can let our guys up front rush.
LSU linebacker Mike Jones Jr.
I don't really think you have to do anything different. I feel like it all begins with your approach, coming into every game. Like I just mentioned, at least for myself, I try to play against faceless opponents, It doesn't matter who we're playing against, It's a standard of how you're going to play, regardless who's on the other side, regardless who's wearing the other jersey. If we play this standard, we're going to achieve the goals that we want to achieve and play the way that we want to play. And so I feel like when you approach it with that mindset, it's not really, you got to get up for games. You just try to play at that constant level.
LSU linebacker Damone Clark.
We have so many guys that can do so many things. It's the will and the want to. That's the biggest thing I see with the defense. Anything the coaches ask us to do, we do it, without a question. And that's the biggest thing. Like I said, I'm excited, just moving forward to this week. And I'm excited for the things we did last week, But of course, it's things that we got to work on and just keep building on.
Talking Tigers, Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
To the heroes who are working tirelessly to care for our communities, we thank you. We will never forget the countless hours you dedicated on the front lines, choosing to risk your own health to fight for our friends, neighbors, and family members.
You guys are out on the front lines fighting it.
We are grateful for your heroic acts and unwavering spirit. Together, we are overcoming this adversity and make our state healthier and more vibrant again. Ochsner Health.
The saying goes, desperate times call for desperate measures. But Louisiana heat is nothing to play with. AC outages hurt everyone. Don't be a victim. Call Accutemp and schedule your maintenance check today.
Front to Back Boat Service has been family owned and operated for 30 years. And the Sherman family is NMEA certified. That's the National Marine Electronics Association at Front to Back. They are committed to improving the safety and technology of marine electronics through installer training, interface standards. And look, the fall and the winter, it's the perfect time to do that yearly maintenance you've been putting off. Get those parts you've been wanting. So schedule your appointment today at Front to Back, North Airway off of Airline Highway.
When I was a boy, I spent my days climbing trees, catching fish. Barefoot in the river I walked, listening to crickets, counting stars. This was home. After my stroke, I wondered if I'd make it back to the people and places I love. But I got the right doctors with Blue Cross coverage. Your card matters. Your home does too.
Tonight, we invite you to celebrate life, wherever and whenever you can, understanding that time is never on our side. Instead, gather up your friends tonight and share a few stories and laughs over a good bottle of wine. Or maybe a family meal that gives everyone a chance to reconnect and remember what's really important, whether it's for a birthday, an anniversary, or simply to remind someone special that they are loved. Rafino's, where Louisiana comes to celebrate life.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI, or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Eagle 98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day Scouting Report. Presented by Demco. Demco. Powering lives. Brightening the future.
Keeping an eye on a lot of goings-on around the country right now. We'll get to Scouting Report in a second, and quite honestly, there's not a ton to talk about with Arkansas. Really, Traylon Burks, Jalen Catalon, the safety. We'll get to some of that here in a second, but he's been injured. So we'll get to all that here in just a quick second. But some interesting goings-on here. So Michigan scored against Penn State, a 47-yard catch and run. So Michigan now leads Penn State 21-17 with 3:23 to play. Penn State does have the ball at their own 25 here, so we'll keep you posted. Baylor and Oklahoma was over. The fans stormed the field. It was done. And then the refs 10 minutes ago, the refs had to clear the field. Baylor's come out now. They're attempting a field goal. Lincoln Riley was beside himself. The field goal is good, a 32-yarder, and that is the last play of regulation. I have no idea why they made them come back out and finish that game. But so your final is now 27-14. And all the kids are now storming, the students are storming the field now there in Baylor. That's huge for Oklahoma for the playoff. Oklahoma coming off a bye drops that game on the road in Waco. Undefeated Oklahoma. This now becomes a massive shakeup for the playoff because you look and you go, okay, is there a Big 12 team that has a path to the playoff? It would be a one-loss Big 12 champion. I mean, theoretically, if Oklahoma wins out and they beat Oklahoma State, and then maybe a rematch potentially with one of these teams in the Big 12 championship. Is that enough to get them in as a one-loss Power 5 champion? But you're going to have a one-loss Big 12 champion, at least.
Yeah, you definitely are now. That was, I think we all saw the level of Oklahoma team. We figured they'd slip up at some point, just not the dominant defenses you would expect the team to have to go undefeated. So this doesn't come as too much of a shocker, but I think the implication that it does have on the playoff committee, you do have to pay attention to because, man, these teams could easily lose another game, and then now you have a 2-loss Big 12 champion, and then that's when the weird stuff starts to happen. So you got to be careful here down the stretch.
Coming off a bye, though, for Oklahoma, I mean, that's almost inexcusable. The other conversation, obviously, with LSU's coaching search a lot of people have had is about the two men coaching in that game. The possibility of LSU maybe taking a swing at Lincoln Riley. And then a lot of people mentioned Dave Aranda, who, I mean, I'll tell you candidly, I haven't had anybody associated with LSU or anybody affiliated with the search mention Dave's name. Mm-hmm. But what he's doing here is hard to ignore. Like, I mean, he inherited that situation there, which was not a terrible situation, for Matt Rule, who went to the NFL. And now in year 2, Dave Aranda's got them playing really good football, man. I mean, that's an impressive win.
Yeah, that's a huge win against an undefeated team who's won that league year in and year out. And they're just a test to the people in the Big 12. And you can hang with Oklahoma and beat them. You're right in it to win the Big 12, and that's a huge win for Baylor and Coach Aranda.
Meanwhile, Auburn's going to go down. Mississippi State just scored again, leading by 8. State's gone into the end zone again. It's 42-28 with 5:31 to play. Mississippi State PAT pending here. So State, if they convert the PAT, is going to be up 15 with 5.5 to play. I mean, it would take an epic collapse for State if they're or epic comeback for Auburn if they're able to win it. But this would be massive for Mississippi State to go to Auburn and beat the Tigers there at Jordan-Hare if they're able to finish this one off.
Man, Rodgers is cooking. 6 passing touchdowns, over 400 yards passing, being down 28-3. What is it about the 28-3 thing, man?
Yeah.
That's a big blow for Auburn. Obviously, they had some good wins this season, but you lose this one at home after starting out the way you did. That's going to be a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, what Jeremy's alluding to there is that late in the second quarter, Auburn was leading Mississippi State 28-3. The Super Bowl, the Falcons Super Bowl score. But with 6 minutes to play in the first half, that was a 28-3 ball game, and Mississippi State has just absolutely come roaring back, and it looks like they're going to win that game. This is Scouting Report, and so this is when we usually look at LSU's opponent. The one player that's really worth mentioning that pops is Traylon Burks. He's a wide receiver from Arkansas, 6'3", 232, so he's a big-bodied receiver, but he can fly as well. He has got He's got wheels. For a dude that big, he has wheels. And Mel Kiper ranks Treylon Burks as the 24th best prospect overall in the draft. How does LSU handle Treylon Burks?
Yeah, you got to definitely pay attention to them, especially when they get that run game going. They kind of lull you to sleep. They hand it off, and then once they see you're playing one-on-one coverage on the outside, he's going to run that go ball. He's one of the best in the country at it. He had a huge touchdown against A&M, and you don't really see many guys able to, just run a simple go ball and get it actually to the end zone without getting tackled, and that's exactly what he did. So he's very, very explosive. Obviously, they love him at the next level, and you don't get love like that unless you can play, and Treylon Burks can definitely play. Jalen
Catalon is a safety from Louisiana who likely is also a draftable prospect. He's been battling a shoulder injury. He's done for the year, so you're not going to see him. There's not much else really to talk about when it comes to top-tier draftable prospects here from Arkansas. This just isn't a team. Brett Bielema didn't leave Sam Pittman a talent-laden roster. What is going to be interesting, though, with Arkansas in the coming years is understanding that Sam Pittman has sort of made his reputation as a great recruiter and a line coach. And what type of prospects can they get, there to Fayetteville? If you look at Mel Kiper's big board where he lists the top 10 prospects at every position, the only other Arkansas player, aside from Treylon Burks, is the long snapper, Jordan Silver. He's got him as the 5th best long snapper in the draft. I mean, you're just not really looking at a NFL heavy-laden, talented team, which is why, Jeremy, I kind of like LSU tonight. Even though LSU is been decimated by injuries, 1 to 85, they're still. I don't think LSU's got 85 scholarship guys anymore, but you understand my point.
Yeah.
They're still a more talented team than Arkansas, and they're at home. This is going to be, I really think, a game where Arkansas, I think, is the better coach team. They got 2 elite coordinators. There's no way around that. With Barry Odom, who was, of course, the head coach at Missouri, and Kendall Briles, who we talked about. Can LSU match wits? Can Jake Peets and Durante Jones find the right special sauce to put these guys in the right place to win a ball game tonight?
Yeah, that's going to be the huge question. I think I'm very encouraged by what I saw from Durante Jones. I did not expect to see the amount of blitzes that we did, the amount of just different formations and how we lined up on defense. I think that can cause so many issues for these college quarterbacks who, especially if you don't show them those looks in film and you give them something new on game day, it can cause fits. So I was very encouraged by that on the defensive side of the ball. But the offensive side, I think with the 2 guards missing and then you possibly putting another quarterback into the fray, I think you're going to have one of your best games you've had to call all year. Now is the time. If you want to make that quarterback move and switch it up, then you better have some stuff that you're putting in to help these guys out. Otherwise, if we've seen this Arkansas defense play well, we've seen how they played against A&M. They can gear up and shut you down. So it's going to be a day for Pete to really try to get this thing rolling, especially if you're going to be moving pieces around.
It is Eagle 98.1 game day. Minute 53 to go there in State College. Michigan's hanging on 21-17. We'll keep you posted as that one nears its final. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's 40 unanswered points for Mississippi State. I mean, they were down 28-3. It's 43-28. What a comeback for Mississippi State. But Auburn does Bodix has Auburn on the move right now, down 15 with 4:44 to play. We'll keep you posted. All right, the 2:30 window getting kicked off here momentarily. Jeremy Hill and Hunt Palmer, Hunt and Hill on Eagle 98.1 Game Day when we return, presented by Home Bank and your Super Chevy dealers.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law offices of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Month, AccuTemp is giving back by offering their friends and family discount, which means you'll get savings of over $4,000 on new AC installs. Call AccuTemp to get your new AC for as low as $80 a month. AccuTemp, service to the highest degree.
Louisiana Bayou Bistro is cooking with love. Delicious Cajun goodness for lunch, dinner, or family combo to-go meals with limited dine-in or curbside pickup. Call 225-749-6354.
At the Louisiana Bayou Bistro, when I get something with something else.
Protect your home with dependable roof repair and service. GarciaDidMyRoof.com.
WTGL and HD1 Baton Rouge. Eagle 98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Hunt and Hill on Game Day. Presented by First South Farm Credit. First South Farm Credit. Financing farms and land since 1916. Hunt and Hill is heard weekdays from noon to 2 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Now, here's Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill.
Welcome back to the Eagle 98.1 Game Day pregame show. I'm Jeremy, half of Hunt and Hill. We got my co-host, Hunt. Hunt, how we doing?
It's a beautiful day in the capital city. Let's play some ball.
Oh, yes, sir, man. Hey, look, I don't know if you kept track, but did you see Sanford almost pull out the upset today?
Well, they scored like 50 in the first half. That's hard to believe that an FCS team could do that to a collection of Florida players. I mean, it's just, obviously, their defense has not been good. They fired their defensive coordinator. Clearly, the players did not play very well, and we've talked about it, in the midweek. Like, it's a toxic situation in Gainesville. I don't know how you bring in a good coordinator if you keep Dan Mullen. That coordinator knows he's basically walking the plank here for one more year until Mullen's fired, or you just clean house and fire everybody and start over and jump into the pool, and that's certainly relevant here in Baton Rouge because that Florida job is really, really good. So just a shocking collapse of that program.
Been a while since Tiger fans got to come in Death Valley, man. What's the vibe like on campus right now?
Yeah, I drove around campus a little bit. I'm back at my house, about to head back in there, but I went in during lunchtime a little bit, and it's you can tell it's not a 9-0 LSU team playing Alabama, but it's a gorgeous day. We hadn't done it in a while, and it should be a pretty decent environment in there. A lot of people were in duck blinds this morning. I get that, but I think it should be pretty good in there. As long as you can hang around, make things interesting. Late, should be a decent environment. It's going to be chilly, though, so bring a coat if you're coming.
All right. Speaking of LSU hanging around, we all remember Ole Miss hanging 50 on this Razorbacks defense. If you're LSU and the crew, where do you attack this Arkansas defense?
Statistically speaking, Arkansas's defense is not terrible at anything or really good at anything. They got one guy that can rush the passer. They've kind of been pretty good in most games. They kind of smothered A&M when A&M couldn't figure anything out. Obviously, Matt Corral and the Ole Miss offense got rolling against them. Mississippi State moved the ball pretty good last week, and we'll see what they're doing this week, which has been really impressive. But, yeah, it's not a defense with a ton of great personality. Just got a good coach, and they're kind of in position. LSU, I can't figure out who they are week to week. Sometimes they can run it like crazy. Sometimes they can't at all. And then we really don't know what the quarterback position is going to look like. So, I would love to sit here and tell you what the blueprint is. I just don't know. That makes things interesting tonight because I don't know what they're going to do with the quarterbacks, but they should be able to move the ball at Arkansas. Arkansas is not that good on defense.
Okay, so we saw Durante Jones last week totally change his strategy up, especially on third down. Do you think Jake Peaks and the crew follow suit this week?
Well, I mean, I would hope they would make some adjustments and move the ball. I'm excited to see what Garrett Nussmeier can do. I'm concerned about the flow of the offense and some sort of rhythm if you're playing musical chairs at quarterback. So, Pete's still has some talent, but obviously you're missing both guards and you're going to be shuffling quarterbacks. It seems like it's going to be tough to find some continuity.
All right. Well, speaking of the starting guardsmen now, how much of an impact do you think that'll have on the outcome today?
I think it's a pretty big deal. Now, I mean, I'd rather have guards missing than both tackles missing. Guards have a little bit more help. You got your center in Shanahan. You got your two tackles. I guess you're going to plug in Marlon Martinez and Garrett Dellinger. Like, that's my guess. Xavier Hill's still around. Hennedet, Cardell Thomas. I mean, none of the options seem great. They're not as good as Hines and certainly not Ingram. Ingram, when he's played well this year, has been excellent at times. But I do think that that's going to matter. Hopefully LSU still can run the football and keep those quarterbacks upright, because you can't. It's pretty tough to move the ball.
All right, put you on the spot here. Who plays more snaps today, Garrett Nussmeier or Max Johnson?
I think it'll be Max, but I can certainly envision a situation where Nussmeier's swinging it around. He's fiery. He's making plays with his feet, and they want to ride him a little bit. I can also see a scenario where he tries to fit a ball somewhere it doesn't fit and throws a pick, and he's probably more prone to do that than Max. Now, we haven't seen him with real bullets flying. We will tonight, so we'll see. But I would have to bet the safe bet there, which would be Max.
All right, so let's move to the other side of the football, to Arkansas's offense. They have the fourth best rushing attack in the country right now. What makes that rushing attack so special?
Balance. Jefferson at the quarterback spot will do it, and they'll rotate three backs in there that all run for 5 yards a carry or better. So it's kind of a different guy every week for them, but they commit to it, and they do it. Now, we've seen games like last week where LSU's defensive front has played great. We've seen games like Kentucky, UCLA, and Ole Miss where they've been atrocious. I can't figure out which team's going to show up. I've kind of quit trying, but you got to hope. Because if you can stop Arkansas on first down, force them into some passing situations, that's not where Jefferson is going to thrive. He wants you to be so focused on trying to stop the run and be so worn down that he can play action and take a deep shot to Burks. They're really explosive in the deep passing game because they're so committed to the run. If you force them into the passing game, it probably doesn't go as well.
All right, well, speaking of that, KJ Jefferson, he only has 3 interceptions to the season to this point. Do you think this version of this Tigers defense can force a turnover on him?
I would love that. I think that's a testament to Kendall Briles, though, the statistics. They make things easier for him with that powerful rushing attack, and they'll tell him, look, you don't have to force anything. We'll take some deep shots, and then we'll run the ball. And Jefferson has played far better than I could have anticipated. I've been all over him since August about how I didn't think he was any good, and he's played good football this year. I was dead wrong, and I think Kendall Briles deserves a lot of credit for that too.
All right, we got people like your boy Kirk Herbstreit saying the Tigers are playing with no pride. Who do you think has more to play for in this game, Arkansas Razorbacks or the Tigers?
I think Arkansas does. I mean, they're trying to build a program, and LSU's has been bulldozed. I mean, that's kind of the situation you're in. If Sam Pittman's going to go out there and try to recruit and become the program that he wants Arkansas to be, and going on the road and beating LSU is a nice feather in your cap. Now, this is a shell of what the LSU team was supposed to be in August, and a shell of the program that we anticipate LSU being year in and year out. But what does a win for LSU mean? I guess getting into a bowl if you win next week, so that's important. But I think Pittman's trying to build things, and LSU is just trying to play out the string.
All right, so we got to do this every week now. What's your prediction for the game? Who you like?
This is a really good question. I'm sure the listeners are really excited to hear my answer since I'm dead wrong every single week. And so I'm not even close ever. I thought LSU would handle UCLA. They ran it down their throats. I thought the Kentucky matchup was good. It was never competitive. I thought that Florida would just dominate LSU. LSU runs for a school record that day. Then I thought, okay, well, if they run it, they can run at Ole Miss. That's a pretty good matchup. They'll run on them. They'll try to keep up. Ole Miss whitewashes them. Never thought that LSU would be competitive against Alabama. They were. I'm dead wrong every single week. So I'll say Arkansas wins 56-0. How's that?
Well, there you go. Well, tell people where they can listen to you at pregame, postgame.
Yeah, 4:30 we'll be in the TJ Ribs Tiger One Village right between the ramps of the Assembly Center. If you want to come by, you're out on campus. The Tigers come down Victory Hill. The band comes down Victory Hill. We're right there broadcasting. We got TVs. Football is on while we're broadcasting. So if you're coming out, stop on by. Some great drinks and some great stuff to eat. We'll have Durante Jones is our assistant interview of the week, which will be really good. And Marlon and Brandon are always high energy. Should be fun. Looking forward to getting out there.
All right, appreciate some time, Hunt.
See y'all.
Yeah, we got Tennessee driving on their first drive, man. They're in the red zone, getting pretty close here. We got some more scoreboard coming up, and we got Shea Dixon coming up. So check back in with us at the Eagle 98.1 pregame show.
Starting in 1974, Central Plumbing has served Baton Rouge and surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Through these tough and trying times, we want you to remember that the Payne family is here to continue to support and serve you. As a multi-generational business, there is no job that is too big or too small. Residential, commercial, industrial, hospitality, we're here for anything you need. 24/7, 365. Give us a call, 225-925-8552.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Front to Back Boat Service has been family owned and operated for 30 years. And the Sherman family is NMEA certified. That's the National Marine Electronics Association at Front to Back. They are committed to improving the safety and technology of marine electronics through installer training, interface standards. And look, the fall and the winter, it's the perfect time to do that yearly maintenance you've been putting off. Get those parts you've been wanting. So schedule your appointment today at Front to Back, North Airway off of Airline Highway.
Tonight, we invite you to celebrate life, wherever and whenever you can, understanding that time is never on our side. Instead, gather up your friends tonight and share a few stories and laughs over a good bottle of wine. Or maybe a family meal that gives everyone a chance to reconnect and remember what's really important, whether it's for a birthday, an anniversary, or simply to remind someone special that they are loved. Rafino's, where Louisiana comes to celebrate life.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them.
Eagle 98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Recruiting with Shea Dixon of 247 Sports. Presented by AccuTemp. AccuTemp, your AC and electrical experts.
Glad you're with us here on Eagle 98.1 Game Day, counting you down to the Tigers and the Hogs. Some action. We'll get Shea Dixon here in just a second. Some action going on around college football. Mississippi, Auburn scored. Mississippi State recovered the onside kick, just missed a field goal. So Auburn has a pulse, but Auburn's still down 9 in this ball game, so it's hard to, with 2:48 to play. It looks like Auburn just turned it over. So TJ Finley actually was in the ball game there for Auburn. And Finley, was this a strip sack?
Yep,
for
strip
Finley?
Strip sack. Trying to do too much with the ball.
So Finley was strip sack. State got it. They'll win. Tennessee takes the opening drive of the ball game. They score on Georgia. So Tennessee up 7-0 early on the number one team in the country. And it looks like Ohio State just went in on their opening possession against Purdue. All right, Shea Dixon joins us from Go 247. Shea, thanks for the time. How are you?
Beautiful day.
Yeah, man, it is. Hey, let's start with the prospect I think everyone's interested in hearing about and from, and that's Walker Howard, the 5-star quarterback commit, who has been maybe a little non-committal, I guess fair to say, here of late. What can you tell us?
Well, look, they still haven't had anybody decommit from the class across all these times we've talked since that news broke beyond Aaron Anderson, who a lot of people thought was going to flip over to Alabama anyhow, and he did that in kind of rather short order. But Walker is, I think as time's gone on, Matt, and he's been very calculated with, how he's gone about this, how he's talked about taking other visits and ended up just making the one to Notre Dame. He was thought to have going to visit Ole Miss. At least the Ole Miss side had reported that it was either going to be last weekend or over the past 2 weekends. He didn't do either of those, and then he'll be in Tiger Stadium today. And I would expect he's probably going to be there for these next couple of games. But I know he said this past week, made some public comments about how he's got full faith that LSU is going to make the right hire. And he's one of the guys, like many of these, Matt, that's going to sign in mid-December. December 18th is when the early signing period is, that Wednesday. So just, 4 weeks after the season comes to an end, a little more than 3, or right around 3 is when kind of all these guys hope to have a head coach named at LSU and then feel a little bit better about going ahead and putting the pen to paper and signing their scholarship papers. And a number of them are early enrollees. So all of this is going to happen very quickly between now and the start of January when kids start to get to campus.
So, Shea, what is a day like today for recruiting purposes, where home games are usually a big deal in recruiting? And if prospects aren't taking official visits right now, what's today like for this staff and for recruiting?
Okay, so that's correct. So guys are not making official visits right now. And the other thing to remember about that is, obviously, if you've got a coaching staff where the head coach is not going to be part of the staff moving forward beyond the end of the regular season, and then you're not sure which, if any, position coaches are still part of the staff, it's obviously pretty tough for them to host guys and do all of that. So you wouldn't have official visitors for that reason to start, but also you're capped at a certain number of official visits. So not just one with each guy, but a total number. So when they do get a new head coach in here, and if we're presuming that's happening after the regular season comes to an end, those guys may have guys that, 10, let's say 8, 10 guys that can go onto the board that maybe weren't there before, and suddenly you need to have official visit spots for them. So for a few reasons, they're not doing any official visits. Now, unofficial visits, you're still seeing a good bit, and I think we will over these next few games, now that they're back for home games here to kind of the rest of the way. Walker Howard, Will Campbell, Emory Jones, all of your commitments from, and most notably Jake Johnson, the guys who come to all the games, they'll be at everything. And those guys have gotten maybe even a little bit more tight-knit through all this, I've noticed. I mean, from talking to a couple of guys who said their group texts are a little bit more active and everybody's kind of in this together of saying, all right, we're waiting this out. But this is kind of the fun part for them. They get to go to the game and hang out and see the players and talk to the coaches, and a lot of kind of invites have gone out to guys in the 2023 class. So kids that are juniors in high school, sophomores, especially in Louisiana, Matt, we're starting to see a lot of those guys a lot of them tweeted out about coming to the game today. A handful have already told me that they got invited in to come. So you're sort of, if you're Orgeron, you're just setting them up for, hey, look, we're not going to be out here being able to convince all these out-of-state kids to come in, but let all the in-state guys who have offers, who you're targeting, know that, hey, still come in, spend time around the program, and then you're not further behind the 8 ball when, you're this new staff that's coming in.
So still stuck at that 14 hard commit number for the Tigers. If that kind of goes on after the new coach is hired, should that be cause for concern, or signing date's probably when you should really be looking at that?
Yeah, I think good question, Jeremy. And I think it'll probably be signing day, which maybe people will freak out if it's not an immediate thing. But I think when they make this new hire immediately, you have the guys, the 14 guys that you've got committed, all saying, hey, I'm in, Walker Howard, and down the list are going to say, all right, I'm firm now. I'll talk to the new head coach. I feel good about things, whatever it might be. And then you start to build it from there. So the first visit weekend, and we're operating solely under the presumption that they'll have a head coach named, maybe within a week of the season ending. Then you've only got a couple of visit weekends from there. So you hope to get guys in that first weekend, which is SEC championship weekend, then again the following weekend. And then that's when you'll see guys sort of, hole up, get around their folks, talk to their family, their camp, their high school coaches about where they stand with things. And a number of these kids are also sort of saying, if I'm not an early enrollee, do I still go ahead and sign in December? Or should I wait until February and let's see how these dominoes fall? And I guess a lot of that will depend on when they do name this new hire and when Scott Woodward kind of reveals to everyone, the public and the kids, who the coach is, when they'll be here, and we'll see how many guys sign then. But I think even with kids who are uncommitted, they'll want to have a visit in. They'll want to get around the staff. They'll want to find out who their position coach is. And all that may not happen at the same time they're announcing a new head coach. So I would guess closer to signing day is when we're going to start to see that 14 number creep up. And simply because of going through a coaching change, knowing you're now sitting with 11 spots left, whatever it is, you're probably going to see a little bit more of a higher number of guys sign in February. And I don't know how many that will be, but it just won't surprise me if a good bit of this class is guys they pick up on that second signing day, just because the staff would have more time to kind of get their feet into the ground and identify who they want to close with.
He's on Twitter at Shea Dixon, go247. Shea, so we know no official visitors today. You did mention a lot of unofficial visitors. You have any idea, any names of recruits who are going to be on campus today?
Yeah, I would say that most notably it's all of your current commits. So,
Okay.
and I think the bulk of them are going to be there. And that's the good thing, right? They're not out visiting other schools every weekend anymore. They've kind of regrounded themselves, buckled in. Really, none of them, I don't think, have made any visits beyond a couple of them who made it right around, before the coaching change had happened or right after. And it almost felt like those visits were going to happen either way. But when you look into next year's class, there is a couple of guys from around here in Louisiana that'll be at the game. I know one kid out of New Orleans that they're really big on. Kyron Buda is going to be on campus. I saw a number of New Orleans kids have said they're driving in for the game tonight. So it'll be not a big group, I wouldn't think, and maybe that'll change for A&M. But I do think it'll be, let's say, 15, 20 kids from that junior class, a handful of which already have offers. But no major five stars of note, other than I would say Kyron Borda is certainly a guy who could press for that. He's a defensive lineman out of New Orleans for next year. And I think he'll be one that this new staff really makes a big priority for. And he's got all the SEC offers already. So he'll be one we'll start to talk about this time next year.
Shea, is there any precedent with coaching changes? Obviously, just not something that happens very often around these parts, but for a team in the season with a coaching change to have call it a top 5 recruiting class, is that's something that we think might be realistic for this new staff, whoever it may be, whenever they get here?
I don't know if top 5 will be realistic, just because your Bamas and Georgias and these programs that aren't going to have a head coaching change and already have those top 5 classes are going to keep finishing strong. I think A&M will be interesting to watch, just because Jimbo's name gets pushed around a lot in these LSU circles. Obviously, nothing would happen there if he's not moving, but they've got one of the best recruiting classes in the country, and a lot of kids out there who are the 5 stars, a number of them are considered to be leaning there. So I don't know if they can push up into top 5, but I think the goal, and look, they're sitting at 12 or 13, so top 15, and they only have 14 commits. So you're going to add 11 more guys. Because of that, you're going to start moving up into the top 10, and I think that would probably be the goal. I think the most important thing for them, if they can finish with the number 7 or 8 or 9 class, it means that they certainly added a number of more guys who were talented. But if you're also then locking down Louisiana, and if they really do lock down Louisiana, this could be a 5, 6 ranked class, maybe even a little higher when it's all said and done. But we'll see how it looks. I think the goal would be, number one, though, figure out a way to keep as many of the guys that are out there uncommitted in the state and in the class right now on board, because that's the obvious key. Is Louisiana is what makes this whole thing go for LSU. And even if you're going through a coaching change, if you can lean on that, that's pretty key. But I can't think of an immediate precedent. Southern Cal's had a pretty good class and kind of popped some big names through the whole Helton stuff. But that's also been an odd thing where they've been dealing with him on the way out and having to recruit that for 3 or 4 years now, it felt like. So they've sort of hit a groove on how to recruit when your head coach is on the hot seat, and it's not quite the same. So not a precedent in the SEC. I would circle of exactly kind of how they're having to operate here through a month and a half of it. But I will say, Matt, the fact that they've only got one guy that's decommitted through that whole stretch is a pretty good thing. And you kind of look around at the rest of the class and feel like you'll be able to sign them all. And now you just figure that if you can hold on a little bit longer, then you'll start to add to the class.
When this new coaching staff comes and takes over, will there be situations where they may not be as high on certain prospects from the state, or maybe even withdraw some offers, or that's not really the case?
You know, I've been thinking of that, and someone had mentioned that to me recently, Jeremy, is kind of, we've seen it before in many signing periods with Coach O and Les and other coaches, where you kind of get up to that December signing period and you realize that contact had fallen off between one side and the other, and that kid was really going to end up going somewhere else. I think right now, especially with a new staff coming in, and we're presuming that this staff is someone who's maybe, you know, or actually I was going to make a point of maybe not from Louisiana. I don't think it would matter either way. If you're coming in as a new head coach, the last thing you want to do is say, hey, look, a couple weeks from signing day, I'm going to, you know, trim up a spot or two in this class, and that affects some kid in Louisiana, the high school. And now that coach's, you know, staff is already upset with how you've just come in and immediately kind of shaking things up for a kid in the 11th hour. So I don't anticipate any of that this year, just because they're at a spot where I think they did some of that in the summer. They finally had summer evals again where kids came to camp, and that's when we saw 2-3 kids from the class end up going elsewhere. But now I think since then they're going to probably stand pretty firm with the guys they've gotten, and I don't think a new coach will be in a position to A, want to trim anybody. He's probably worried about holding on to everyone, but B, not rocking the boat until you've actually got a foundation in here and you know, relationship with all these high school coaches around the state.
Last one, Shay. What about the possibility of whoever the new coach is coming in, presuming that he's a current college coach, adding guys from the class wherever he might currently be recruiting?
I think that that's going to almost be a given, right? Okay. And doesn't really matter if you go around and look at, I mean, who do you want to name, like A&M, or you can say Billy Napier, or you can say Aranda, or whoever you're picking. They've got guys in that class that have LSU offers. Like, for instance, A&M, well, half their class are guys that LSU is also in on. So you would figure by default, 1 or 2 of those guys would say, oh, man, well, LSU's kind of my other team anyway, so I'm in. Or, you know, if it's UL, they're going to say, hey, I've scouted a couple of guys who are better than these guys that y'all are looking at. Like, we're going to take them. And, you know, Baylor, for instance, might be the same. Or, you know, whoever it is out there, I think you could say, look at their class and have that coach think, I want to bring these couple of kids or this 1, 2, or, you know, whoever it might be over to my new school. And Matt, I think the other interesting thing, and this will be a conversation to have down the line, is who from their team might they be able to bring over, because I think a little bit of that will happen as well. So it'll be interesting to see.
He's on Twitter at Shea Dixon Go 247. Game days are always big recruiting days with recruits on campus. Shea will be out there. Make sure you're following along at go247.com. All right, Shea, we appreciate it, man. Thanks so much.
All right, sounds good, guys. I'll see y'all next week.
All right, man. Have a great one. We appreciate Shea, as always, for joining us here on Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Matt, Jeremy, Musso, and Danny Cardenas are hanging out with us here as well. We got some fireworks on Rocky Top already. Tennessee scores on their opening possession. Georgia follows suit. We're tied at 7. Georgia forced a punt, so the Bulldogs have the ball back. Same scenario there in Columbus, where Ohio State scored on the opening possession. Purdue answered with a touchdown. They're tied at 7. And Ohio State is marching again. The 2:30 slate of games are underway. We'll get you a scoreboard, catch up on everything going around, the finals from this morning, what's happening currently in college football. It is Eagle 98.1 Game Day, presented by Home Bank and your Super Chevy dealers.
Can't tell you how many people tried to discourage me when I said, I'm opening up a haunted house.
How he comes up with this stuff in his head and designs it is mind-boggling.
If you love doing something, don't let anything or anyone stand in your way. If you want to be successful, you have to do what you love, even if it's a really strange thing like opening up a haunted house and scaring people for a living.
They said I was small, weak, said my heart wasn't strong enough. But I showed them what heart looked like. Again and again and again. Mom got me the right care, the right doctors with Blue Cross coverage. Don't let people tell you who you are. Show them. The right card, the right care.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law office of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Eagle 98.1.
The Ralph's Market College Football Scoreboard. Ralph's Market, where quality and customer service are a family tradition.
All right, it is early, but it is certainly worth keeping an eye on what is happening presently up at Neyland Stadium. Tennessee took its opening possession, scored. Georgia answered with a long James Cook touchdown run to tie the game at 7. Tennessee would punt on its second possession, and now a sack, a tackle for loss, and Georgia's facing a 3rd and 22 from their own 17-yard line. It's a screen pass. It'll be short of the first down, so Georgia's going to punt. Tennessee came to play. Lane Kiffin on game day, he picked Tennessee to win this ball game. He threw out a little joke, said Tennessee's a dangerous place to play. For hurtling mustard bottles and water bottles and golf balls. Yeah. It is dangerous there at Rocky Top. But so far, Tennessee and their all-black unis have come to play, man. And, I mean, that offense is a problem because it's something different than anything Georgia's seen so far. And we've talked about it a lot here, you know, when you and I do this on Saturdays. But Hendon Hooker has found his stride in that offense and what Josh Heupel wants him to do, and that's a dangerous offense that can score on anybody.
Yeah, they missed a big strike the first drive of the game. Yep. They had a guy running wide open down the field. They just overthrew him a little bit, but yes, Hendon is on a phenomenal job in this offense. He's taking it to a whole new level. They can score. You see what they're doing on Georgia. They're moving the ball up and down the field, and they're not scared, and that's what you got to have in a game like this. You can't back down. You got to go out there and take it to them, and that's exactly what Tennessee's doing. They're playing with a ton of energy and pride and passion right now, and that's how you got to get these upset pulled off. So the implications of if Georgia loses this game, I think you'd be spinning, man. I can't even think of it right now, but it'd be crazy if they found a way to lose this game.
It's really early.
Yeah, it's early.
But we're going to keep an eye on it. No defense in Columbus yet either. 3 possessions, 3 touchdowns. It's Ohio State 14, Purdue 7. C.J. Stroud already over 100 yards passing in that ball game for Ohio State. So Purdue will have its second possession coming up here shortly. These spoiler boilers, as they're called, earlier this year upset number 3 Iowa. Last week upset number 3 Michigan State. Now they're on the road against 4th-ranked Ohio State. We'll keep you posted there with that game. The rest of the top 25 scores games currently underway. Utah still struggling with Arizona there in Tucson. 24th ranked Utah up 21-17 with about 11 minutes to play in the third quarter. That one bears mentioning or watching because Utah leading the Pac-12 South. So maybe not a playoff implication, obviously, because the Pac-12, aside from Oregon, doesn't seem to have any legitimate shot at making the playoff. But Utah could well be the team in the playoff in the Pac-12 championship game against potentially Oregon from the north.
Yeah, that's definitely a game that you expect them to come out there and handle business. Just not a very competitive Wildcat team that we've been seeing all year. So I expect the Utes to handle business in that one.
They're tied at 3 with Iowa and Minnesota. The 20th ranked Hawkeyes are at home in that one. They are late in the first quarter, just a couple of field goals. The end of the first quarter, no score with Southern Miss and Texas San Antonio. The Roadrunners are ranked 23rd in the country. They are 9-0. They're 5-0 in Conference USA. So I keep saying it. You want to keep talking about Cincinnati, you got to talk about Texas. Neither of us want to talk about Cincinnati. I mean, we agree with that. But for all those people who want to prop up Cincinnati, you're just going to ignore Texas San Antonio? They're undefeated too, right? Shouldn't they get love too?
Yeah, right. No, I think anyone with half a brain could see that they haven't played anyone with a pulse, and Cincinnati's played a little team with a little something. But I think Notre Dame will show its true colors by the end of the season. They're going to get upset. I'm predicting. I'm calling it now. Pound the table. Notre Dame's getting upset at some point, and then we can calm down with all this Cincinnati nonsense.
Well, UTSA did go on the road and beat Illinois, so they have a win over a Big Ten team, and then went on the road and beat Memphis, which has a nice win over Mississippi State this year as well. So it's not like they've done nothing. I'm not stumping for either of those teams. You know how I feel. I'm a college football elitist. I don't want them anywhere near it. I'm just pointing out the contradiction of propping up Cincinnati and ignoring Texas San Antonio from people in that realm who are doing so. We'll keep our eye on UTSA, ranked 23rd, no score, end of the first quarter against Southern Miss. Michigan State off their first loss of the season. They're underway now against Maryland, and Michigan State did pop off to an early lead, taking its opening possession and scoring on a 58-yard touchdown pass. 7-0 Michigan State early on top of Maryland. Remember, like way back when Tua's brother was throwing a bajillion touchdowns and everyone's impressed with Maryland? Well, yeah, they're 5-4 now. They're not that good.
Yeah, I think who were they playing? Iowa, I think, early on in the season. A lot of people were picking Maryland to upset Iowa, and Iowa just went in there and just handled business and just ran them off the field. When you recruit 3 stars and not many 4 stars, that's typically what happens.
Kenneth Walker III, always worth watching. He's a Heisman candidate. The Michigan State running back. Will let you know how his day goes as we move along. Finals from the top 25 in the morning window. Bama had no trouble with New Mexico State, 59-3. Bryce Young, 21 of 23 for 270 and 5 scores. It was just a stat padding day. Brian Robinson, 9 carries for 99 yards. I'll say that again. 9 carries for 99 yards. He averaged 11 yards a carry.
Yeah, that's what you do when you bring those type of schools in. Brian Denny, you handle business, man. Obviously, they didn't have much to play for last week, thinking LSU was just going to lay down. And Nick made sure the rat poison stayed far away from the program. And so that was no shocker there. They handle business at home.
It was a real competitive game at Happy Valley, but Michigan outlasts Penn State. Penn State rallied to take a 17-14 lead with about 3 minutes to play in the ball game. And Michigan would throw a 47-yard touchdown pass to take the lead, a lead that they would hold. So 21-17, Michigan, 6th ranked, moves to 9-1 on the season, and the showdown for Michigan with Ohio State is looming. If potentially, Ohio State hangs on here, wins this game against Purdue, you're talking about a game that would be critical for the playoff race.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be a huge one, and I'm sure the committee would love to put Michigan in there. They get the hype every year. I don't know why. They haven't done much in recent memory, but yeah, that's going to be a big game for them, especially if they can finish what they're doing for the rest of the season and line that thing up with Ohio State. That's going to be a huge game.
I mean, Michigan's only loss is to Michigan State. Mm-hmm. And if they win out and win the Big Ten championship, an 11-1 Michigan that moves to 12-1 Big Ten champion, they're in the playoff.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, that was a massive win for Michigan to rally in the final 3 minutes there to hang on. We'll see the Michigan-Ohio State game when that happens coming up here in a few weeks. The big upset of the day so far is Oklahoma, ranked 8th, undefeated, no more. They go into Waco and they lose to Baylor 27-14. Caleb Williams was benched in favor of Spencer Rattler. Williams came back in the game late, but it didn't matter. The bizarre thing there was it looked like the game was over. They were storming the field. They had to clear the field so Baylor could attempt a field goal with 3 seconds left. It looked like time had expired. They made them kick the field. It was going to end 24-14 instead it ended 27-14. But this is, the Big 12 now, your playoff hopes are on life support.
Yeah, I guess Lincoln was pretty mad about, letting Baylor score another 3. It seems like he was losing.
Bringing everybody back on the field was probably it. He was ticked, but that's probably why. It looked like the clock had expired. His whole team went in the locker room. They had to get everybody back out.
Okay, that's probably why he was upset.
Yeah,
I thought he was trying to get some more plays out there. I'm like, y'all are down 10. I don't get exactly.
No, I think it was over. His team had left the field, and they were down 10, and it was like, why are you bring my team back out here? It's over. So,
yeah, that makes sense, and that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a big win for Aranda and the crew. Obviously, people really probably weren't picking them to win that game, and they had a huge home effort to, really, that was a dominating fashion. I don't think Oklahoma felt good about themselves in that game, really, at any point. So they kind of took control and never looked back. So that was a big win for Aranda and the crew.
Oklahoma coming off a bye, but keep in mind, Oklahoma is Iowa State next week, and then they play Bedlam on the road in Stillwater. If they win those 2 games, they likely turn right back around and play Oklahoma State again the following week in the Big 12 championship game. So there's still a lot of runway here for those Big 12 teams, specifically with Oklahoma State as well. Oklahoma State is 8-1. It's another one-loss Big 12 team. They got TCU today. Then they're at Texas Tech, and then we mentioned they wrap up with Oklahoma, so they theoretically could play Oklahoma twice as well, 10th ranked. I don't think it's completely out of the realm of possibility that a one-loss Big 12 champion could get in. I'm not saying that it's likely. A lot of other things would have to happen. But the thing that I think when we have this conversation we sometimes forget is that the Georgia-Bama thing likely works itself out if Georgia beats Alabama in the SEC championship game, presuming they play each other. It becomes far more complicated if Bama beats Georgia, because then Bama's in, and likely a one-loss Georgia would be as well.
Yeah, I think that's the best scenario for me, for my liking, because I don't want to see Cincinnati in there. It's just got to set a precedent that I don't know if I can handle until we get these 12 teams. So, yes, I think if you get Georgia, really, there's really only 2, maybe 3 undefeated teams left. I think you got Georgia and you got Cincinnati, and that's really it, I think. I can think of all the time. It was Michigan State for a little bit, but really everyone's got to have one loss. So you feel like you win your conference, you're going to have a great chance to go to the playoff.
You forgot about Texas San Antonio.
Oh, my goodness. Stop it. Stop. No way.
Give a little love to the Roadrunners. If you're going to sit here and you're going to prop up Cincinnati, you better prop up the Roadrunners. Put some respect on their name. Mississippi State, how about this final? 43-34. They go to Jordan-Hare and upset 17th-ranked Auburn. Auburn was ahead. Wait for it. 28-3. Does that score sound familiar?
Magic number.
It was 28-3. Mississippi State scored 40 unanswered points. They were up 43-3 or 43-28, and then Auburn did add a late score, but an absolutely incredible rally for Mississippi State to pull off that win at Jordan-Hare.
Yep, that's what I said watching that game early on. I think they were down 5 at the time, but they run so many pass plays. They make your D-line just rush and rush and rush, and it's hard, man. Those big 300-pound kids can only run so much, man, and they put so much pressure on you to get the pressure to the quarterback. And Rodgers, he just played sensational. 6 touchdown passes, well over 400 yards passing. That's what you're going to need to come back in a game like that, and that's exactly the performance he had.
Will Rogers, you mentioned 44-55 for 415 and 6 touchdowns. Big win for Mike Leach. This is like quintessential Mike Leach. You beat Auburn. You beat Texas A&M. You lose to LSU in Memphis. What are we – well, that's just Mike Leach. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is. You got a quirky, non-conventional – play call strategy. Sometimes things don't go your way, but when they're clicking and things are rolling, they really can go your way, as you see today with them scoring 40 unanswered. So that strategy, man, I think if you did give him a bunch of 4 and 5 stars, it'd be interesting to see what he could do with it. But when you're at Mississippi State with the talent he's getting, you're going to see the up and down and consistency.
Ohio State's going into the end zone again. They lead 21-7, 3 minutes to play in the first quarter. They're on top of Purdue. Meanwhile, Tennessee, inside the 10-yard line, they stall. So the Vols are attempting a chip shot field goal here. We'll let you know if they convert it.
That's good.
They do. Okay, so a minute 40 to play in the first quarter. Tennessee 10, Georgia 7. We'll keep you posted there. The other final in the top 25, Wisconsin beat Northwestern 35-7. Keep an eye on Wisconsin. Remember, they're still in play for the Big Ten championship game, all the way up to 18th after the tough start to the season where they lost some close games. Lost that close game to Penn State, lost a close game to Notre Dame, which got away from them late. Wisconsin's had a nice rally. The night games involving the top 25, 11th-ranked Texas A&M. They are in Oxford to take on 15th-ranked Ole Miss. Aggies are a 2.5-point favorite in that ball game. You said you like Ole Miss at home?
Yep, I like Ole Miss at home, man. I like the juice Lane brought today, man. He may be cooking something with that Tennessee pick. We'll see how that plays out. But, yeah, I got Ole Miss at home.
I do like the Aggies because their defense, I think they'll go on the road and take care of it. A lot to play for A&M still. If Bama slips somewhere along the way, A&M wins out, A&M goes to the SEC championship game. So a lot to play for there. 9th-ranked Notre Dame, they're in Charlottesville against Virginia. A ranked-on-ranked matchup in the ACC. NC State ranked 16th. They're on the road at 12th-ranked Wake Forest, who suffered their first loss of the season last week. Wake, a ton of offense, not a ton of defense. Will be interesting to see because Wake controls its destiny here in the ACC for a potential ACC championship. So that one is a 6:30 kickoff on the ACC network, so no one will see it. TCU is on the road in Stillwater against 10th-ranked Oklahoma State. That's the night game on Fox. TCU with the upset of Baylor last week. You think they do it 2 weeks in a row?
That may be a little too rich for my blood. I don't know if TCU. I don't know if the Horned Frogs. You get your coach fired. Obviously, you got an emotional pickup game, but can you really sustain that emotion for more than a week? I'm going to say no. I just don't see it.
Washington State on the road at Oregon. That's football after dark. That's a 9:30 Central kick on ESPN. That one is for the lead in the Pac-12 North. Washington State's 4-2 in the Pac-12. Oregon's 5-1. So a win by Washington State would have them in the lead in the Pac-12 North. So Oregon 3rd-ranked, 8-1 on the season, and they are very much in control of their own destiny for a playoff berth. And also in the top 25, Nevada takes on San Diego State tonight. That's the 22nd-ranked Aztecs. Go through some other finals from the rest of college football earlier today and some other games in progress. A lot of those, forgive me, that we will have already told you about. Also, I should mention in the SEC, they are underway in Columbia, Missouri. South Carolina on the road leading Missouri early, 7-0 in that ball game. Jason Brown's making his second start. He's 2 of 4 for 31 yards and a pick. But Kevin Harris with a rushing touchdown in that game. So South Carolina does lead that one early. Other finals from earlier today around college football. Florida did beat Samford. They put up a 70-burger, 70-52. But the story there was that Samford led that game actually at the half. 42-35.
Look,
Samford put up 42 first half points against the Gators.
I was worried about our defense earlier in the year, but I think last week showed people we're not that bad. Gosh, 50 ball?
Right.
Like, what are we doing? Like, Samford, the Bulldogs? Like, what's going on in Gainesville right now? That's just inexcusable. Like, Dan, I know you got it done in the end, but we got to figure something out here.
You fire your defensive coordinator. Clearly, it was not all Todd Grantham. Clemson hangs 44 on UConn, 44-7. Louisville pounded Syracuse today, 41-3. Rutgers goes on the road and beats Indiana, 38-3. How about Greg Schiano, who's got Rutgers one win away from bowl eligibility? The guy just knows how to win there. Maine beat UMass 35-10. In the Big 12, Kansas State at home, they double up West Virginia, 34-17. SMU beats UCF 55-28. That one in Dallas. East Carolina inches past Memphis at the Liberty Bowl, 30-29. That one was in overtime. Houston goes on the road and beats Temple 37-8. Army, that rushing offense, just incredible. They beat Bucknell 63-10. And that's the rest of your finals from around the world of college football today. Some other games in progress outside of the top 25. I'll run through these quickly for you. Western Kentucky leading Rice 28-0. Georgia State in Conway is beating Coastal Carolina 28-26 right now. 2 minutes to play in the third. App State on top of South Alabama, 14-7. That one is in the third quarter as well. Georgia Southern, beating Texas State 17-7. That game late in the second quarter. Minnesota and Iowa, they're tied up at 3 right now. Louisiana Tech leads Charlotte 7-0 in the second quarter. Middle Tennessee beating Florida International 14-3 early in the second quarter there. How about this score? Florida Atlantic leading Old Dominion 3-2 as they start the second quarter.
FAU, man. Old Dominion. Are they? They're not Division I, are they? They're
Old Dominion is in Conference USA. Yeah,
okay,
they
so they are
up,
Division I. Okay,
yeah.
they jumped
That
up,
is a conference game.
Okay.
A 3-2
my bad, FAU. My bad.
UAB is beating Marshall 14-0. A game that has certainly lost a ton of luster. Miami and Florida State. How about the Noles? 3-6 on the season, but leading Miami 14-0 at the end of the first quarter. Miami on upset alert there. Georgia Tech is up 21-7 on Boston College. That one's in Atlanta. Virginia Tech 14-0 over Duke early in the second quarter. Texas Tech beating Iowa State 14-7. Iowa State came into this season with such high hopes, a preseason top 10 team. They're just 6-3. Those hopes have been dashed. Keep an eye on Matt Campbell, maybe in the coaching carousel this year. That was supposed to be his team. That was supposed to have the big jump-off point. It hasn't really happened. And then you also look at Campbell and you say, Iowa State, the Big 12 is losing Texas and Oklahoma. If ever there was a time where you make the jump, maybe this could be the year for Matt Campbell. We'll keep an eye there. ULL is at Troy. It's 14-10. The Cajuns leading at the end of one. Tulane's trailing Tulsa 7-0. That's midway through the first quarter. And Hawaii beating UNLV 7-0 with they're very early in that ball game. All right, there's your scores from around the world of college football. We will certainly keep you posted throughout. Slated for a little skull session. We'll break down a little X and O of LSU and Arkansas when we return here on Eagle 98.1 Game Day, presented by Home Bank and your Super Chevy dealers.
When I was a boy, I spent my days climbing trees, catching fish. Barefoot in the river I walked, listening to crickets, counting stars. This was home. After my stroke, I wondered if I'd make it back to the people and places I love. But I got the right doctors with Blue Cross coverage. Your card matters. Your home does too.
The saying goes, desperate times call for desperate measures. But Louisiana heat is nothing to play with. AC outages hurt everyone. Don't be a victim. Call AccuTemp and schedule your maintenance check today.
Service Master Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
To the heroes who are working tirelessly to care for our communities, we thank you. We will never forget the countless hours you dedicated on the front lines, choosing to risk your own health to fight for our friends, neighbors, and family members.
I mean, you guys are out on the front lines, fighting it.
We are grateful for your heroic acts and unwavering spirit. Together, we are overcoming this adversity and make our state healthier and more vibrant again. Ochsner Health.
Starting in 1974, Central Plumbing has served Baton Rouge and surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Through these tough and trying times, we want you to remember that the Payne family is here to continue to support and serve you. As a multi-generational business, there is no job that is too big or too small. Residential, commercial, industrial, hospitality, we're here for anything you need. 24/7, 365. Give us a call, 225-925-8552.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money.
Eagle 98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day Skull Session.
Presented by Gulf Coast Bank. Gulf Coast Bank, the bank that cares about you.
Beautiful Saturday in Baton Rouge. Glad to have you hanging out with us here. Matt Moscona, Jeremy Hill on Eagle 98.1 Game Day, counting you down to LSU and Arkansas. We got one more hour before we hand it off to the LSU Sports Radio Network. Tonight on the call, along with the voice of the Tigers and Doug Morrow, you hear Gordy Rush, who's good enough to join us now. G, how are you, man?
Hey, doing great, guys.
Hey, I know every week you do a lot of film breakdown for the Your View show, and then also, of course, for Tiger War Room. I'm very interested in what you saw from LSU's defense, and specifically, we saw a lot of blitzes right last week, but specifically what you saw from Durante Jones last week.
You know, obviously played the 3-4. The addition of Mike Jones I thought was huge. We really hadn't seen him as an outside linebacker. I thought he was great in pursuit. He was really good when he had to set the edge, and then he was able to bring some pressure. I didn't know we hadn't seen B.J. Ojulari play stand-up before. I was really impressed in his flexibility and what he brought to the table. And more importantly, they played more man on the back end. I'm here to tell you, I've seen enough of LSU bust zone coverages, including the zone coverage they busted when Williams scored on that long touchdown against Alabama. I just think this scheme fits LSU's personnel better.
Why, G?
Well, because they're better playing man than they're playing zone. I think also, I always put it like this, Matt, is that if you're playing on your front foot, you're the aggressor, it's less thinking and more instinctive. And say what you want, LSU has had their injuries and what have you. They still have talent out there. Mm-hmm. And I think those kids respond so much better than playing downhill and playing aggressive.
What's the first thing that you've seen from KJ Jefferson that showed improvement from this season? He's at 16 touchdowns, 3 interceptions right now.
Yeah, throwing a lot of balls touch-wise. I think Kendall has done a really good job of simplifying things for him. If it's not A, it's B. In other words, reading one person and some things that they've done in their pass game. And then he's really, really creative with some of the RPO stuff that they do. They want to run the football. They're the leading rush team in the SEC. But I think he's put packages that really tell you, Jeremy, he's throwing the ball with a heck of a lot more touch than what we saw 2 years ago. Everybody knows he has a strong arm, but he's now able to make different throws. So I've been impressed with Jefferson on film.
Hey, G, I know something you're familiar with is the defensive secondary. And I don't know if you can update us on the numbers and what they're going to look like tonight. I presume Cordell Flott's going to be back. But specifically, what might LSU do at the safety spot, and what have they been doing there at the safety spot with some thin numbers?
Yeah, I like Ward back there. I thought he played well. Look, I thought Pick Cage, gave great effort. There were times he had Minchie man. The man was a little bit of a mismatch. But if McGothern's healthy enough, I think you see Flott a little bit there. And then you got to find 16 Burks. I mean, he's when you look at the pass distribution, you got the numbers in front of you. It's ridiculous. The difference between number 1 and number 2 there. I thought it was 48-16 when I looked at it Monday during the press conference. So it'll be interesting to see, do you run some doubles there and make Arkansas beat you somewhere else?
What do you think Kendall Briles will do to counter LSU's pressure that they showed on film last week?
Yeah, I think that's going to be fascinating to watch, because what Kendall Briles was probably preparing for 2 weeks ago was what everybody else has run at LSU, right? All the eye candy, the Jets, and just trying to get LSU to make a bust. What is he good? What is he going to do? And I think what I would do is isolate Burks and man coverage it. How many times, if they're going to play that much man, who's going to get him? And I'm going to take my opportunities there. But there's no question. I think LSU stays at the 3-4. Coyle's done a nice job with the packages he's helped Durante Jones with. And if I'm LSU, I'm going to flat out and get after that. So screens, and then also I think over the middle and trying to get the ball to Burks.
You talk about the amount of receptions Burks has compared to all of his other teammates. What about 16 makes him so special?
Size, athleticism. I saw him against Texas A&M. when you're 6'3", not only 6'3", but 225 is what he's listed at. And I remember taking a look at him last year. As physical as he is, he's tough out there on the edge. No, people might have, LSU's got corners with a little bit of height, but I don't, that size, and then he's got the speed to go with it. He's really impressive.
Yeah, Traylon Burks has 48 receptions for 799 yards. Second on the team is Tyson Morris, 16 catches for 255. I mean, they pump the ball to Traylon Burks, and you got to know where he is. Hey, G, let's flip it over to the other side. The big story is that LSU's going to be down a couple of offensive linemen. Any idea what they do with the guard spots today?
No, I think Martinez goes in there. It'll be interesting to see. He's been beat up, and what sort of condition he is there. But, that's a concern because you've been running the football pretty well. And I think some of the package, especially in 11 personnel, they've used. So I'll be interested to see who we see pregame in there warming up.
Oh, we all know, no elephant in the room anymore. Garrett Nussmeier is going to be taking some snaps today. What advantages do you think he presents this LSU offense?
I think he's fearless, Jeremy. He's going to cut the ball loose, and he's going to throw to a spot. And that's, I think, we figure you guys are going to talk about Max a little bit. When I went back and looked at the film against Alabama, to me, they're trying to throw to a receiver and not throwing to a spot. Great example was the 4th and 9, was it?
To Besh.
To Palmer. The first one to Palmer. Let's talk about the one to Palmer.
Okay.
Is that it was a slant. It was a great call. Palmer had separation, but as you know, Jeremy, playing offense, the ball has to come out when you're coming out of the cut. And it came out 4 yards after the cut, so late it brought the safety, who was on the other side of the field, they're in man-free, brought it back into play. It's entirely too late. And Max is capable of throwing the spots. We saw him do that against Florida and Ole Miss towards the end of last year. And so I think it's just the whole state of him getting hit, the transition, the offense being clunky, whatever the reason, that's what's happened to him. You mentioned the Besh ball. I'll take you back, if you recall, the 3rd and 17 that Burrow hit Jefferson against Texas.
Yep.
It was cover 0, same coverage, safety's coming. Burrow stepped up in the pocket to his left, found a crease, took a hit, and they completed that touchdown. LSU went on the win. Same thing against Alabama. What Max needed to do was step up in the pocket and to the right, because Ty Davis-Price did a great job of picking up safety, and step up and throw the ball. He had a seam, and Besh was absolutely open. Instead, he took 2 steps back and threw off his back foot on a jump pass. And the chance of that getting completing is nil, basically. And so those are, I think, just 2 examples what Johnson has struggled with. What you're going to get with Nussmeier, he's going to cut it loose. That fastball that he threw for a touchdown against Ole Miss, he's going to do that. On the flip side, Jeremy, he's got some Manziel in him. He's fearless. He's going to throw some balls into double coverage and things that make you pull your hair out. But at this point, LSU's got to be better, I think, in the past game to have a chance to win tonight.
Gee, anybody else offensively you think creates a little bit of a mismatch against specifically what Arkansas and Barry Odom do?
No, I mean, you'll see more zone. He wants to play more zone. I think 2 things I really look forward to seeing. One, hopefully they get Besh and Mashburn on the field at the same time. I haven't had time to get in and do the tendencies, but you got to believe they're so run heavy when Mashburn's on the field, and vice versa when Besh is on there, that people are able to scheme you. I think Besh is your best guy operating out of the slot, because I think his football knowledge and then his physicality in there, he's just able to run a pure route and get in there and get some separation. I'd like to see that. And then I'll tell you what I don't want to see is that 3rd and long, everybody that doesn't play, 3-4, rush 3, drop 8, Ole Miss, people with really, really aggressive teams. Florida would grant them. They rush 3 and drop 8. Well, guess what? Arkansas, by nature, rushes 3 and drop 8. And whether it's Johnson or Nussmeier, the chances of good things happening in 3rd and long, and forcing the football in there are slim and none. I just assume see LSU run the ball or doing something a little bit higher percentage, and if you don't pick it up, fine, turn around and punt it. But I think that they've got to change what they do. They're so predictable on 3rd and 6+.
Gordy Rush, LSU Sports Radio Network, Tigers and Hogs tonight. Gee, give us a little scene set. I know you just got out to campus. What's it like today?
It's absolutely beautiful. And, I was out here earlier for the Your View show, and there's it's built like an SEC football game. It's not LSU, Alabama, but for a night football game, a lot of folks out here. And I think LSU is going to feed off that. Ed's playing with house money. Should be a good game.
Gordy Rush, you'll hear him tonight on the LSU Sports Radio Network. If you're in Baton Rouge, listen to us right here on Eagle 98.1, so you'll hear the game. So make sure you turn down the sound and turn up the LSU Sports Radio Network. G, we appreciate a couple of minutes, man. Have a great call tonight. Thank you.
Okay, guys.
We'll see you. That is Gordy Rush. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Jeremy Matt, we're presented by Home Bank and your Super Chevy dealers. Ohio State's pulling away from Purdue. They just added another touchdown, and Purdue muffed the kickoff. So it looks like Ohio State's going to get the ball inside the Purdue 10-yard line. They're piling on there. The fourth-ranked Buckeyes are. Meanwhile, in Knoxville, Tennessee's hanging tough, man. That field goal has held up. They've swapped a couple of punts. Tennessee's got another stop. Tennessee's leading Georgia 10-7 now with 10.5 to play before halftime. So, again, it's still early, but Tennessee is standing toe-to-toe with the nation's best team and winning the fight right now. In Tallahassee, Florida State all over Miami. It's 17-0 with 10:36 to go in the first half. That's a really down-and-out program right now at Florida State, but showing a little heart in this rivalry game. The Canes do have the ball in Florida State territory. And we're keeping our eye on the SEC on the other conference game going on right now. It's South Carolina and Missouri. With a win, South Carolina gets to bowl eligibility. Missouri needs 2 of their last 3 to get to bowl eligibility. So 7-7 right now. It's in Como. So South Carolina has the ball. What a job by Shane Beamer. I don't know how you feel about it, man, but I think Shane Beamer right now, he's got to be in the consideration for SEC Coach of the Year. I mean, this was a team I think Vegas had pegged at 2 or 2.5 wins at the start of the. I mean, they're already at 5. I mean, they may get to bowl eligibility. They should get to bowl eligibility.
Yeah, they had a grad assistant taking multiple snaps at quarterback, and you still find a way to win.
Starting games.
Yeah, starting games. So you still find a way. That's very impressive. And I love this little rant that he had about Georgia. Well, they got a bunch of 5 stars over there. They got a bunch of 4 stars. And just being honest with yourself and knowing what the task was going in every Saturday and not backing down from that. So, yeah, I definitely – we'll put him in consideration for that for sure.
I mean, I know that you could always default to whoever the coach is, the team that wins the conference, and Saban's always there, and Kirby's obviously has Georgia playing well. There's something to be said for maximizing what you have, and Shane Beamer's doing that, man. So they brought him in there because he's a great recruiter. He loves that program, and I think he will get more talent in there. But the fact that they've turned that around on the field so quickly is impressive. I mean, they're tied at 7 right now. Carolina 1 win away from bowl eligibility. But it is Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Quinn Grovey, former Arkansas quarterback, now on the Arkansas Sports Radio Network. He'll join us next for a little opposing media as we preview the Tigers and the Hogs. Stay here. It's Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Front to Back Boat Service has been family owned and operated for 30 years. And the Sherman family is NMEA certified. That's the National Marine Electronics Association at Front to Back. They are committed to improving the safety and technology of marine electronics through installer training, interface standards. And look, the fall and the winter, it's the perfect time to do that yearly maintenance you've been putting off. Get those parts you've been wanting. So schedule your appointment today at Front to Back, North Airway off of Airline Highway.
Tonight, we invite you to celebrate life, wherever and whenever you can, understanding that time is never on our side. Instead, gather up your friends tonight and share a few stories and laughs over a good bottle of wine. Or maybe a family meal that gives everyone a chance to reconnect and remember what's really important, whether it's for a birthday, an anniversary, or simply to remind someone special that they are loved. Rafino's, where Louisiana comes to celebrate life.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
If home is where the heart is, a roof is a shield. That's why for over 25 years, South Louisiana always turns to Garcia Roofing and Sheet Metal. For more information, visit GarciaDidMyRoof.com.
Rouge. Visit DependableStorage.com.
To the people of Louisiana, we at Buick GMC and our dealers are here to stand with you. We know the importance of keeping in touch with loved ones, so impacted owners can push the OnStar button and get emergency support with available OnStar Crisis Assist services and complimentary data. Push your blue OnStar button to connect. See your Bayou Buick GMC dealers. Service is not offered in all situations and provided by OnStar at its sole discretion. Limited time offer for current eligible GM owners. Residency restrictions apply.
Contacting your workers' comp carrier shouldn't be a painful process.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Please re-enter your policy number or say representative. I'm sorry, I didn't.
Representative.
At Luba, we don't have robots answering our phones. We have humans, like Lisa.
Thank you for calling Luba Workers Comp. How may I help you?
Answering your call is just the first of many ways we set ourselves apart. Visit LUBAWC.com to experience the Luba difference.
Eagle 98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Opposing Media.
Presented by ETEL. ETEL, Louisiana's fastest internet provider.
LSU in Arkansas Saturday, Death Valley, 6:30 p.m. Quinn Grovey will be in attendance. Former Hogs quarterback, now member of the radio broadcast crew. Good enough to join us for a couple of minutes. Hey, Quinn, thanks for the time, man. How are you?
Man, I'm doing good, man.
Hey, man, I think LSU fans are maybe building a little excitement toward this game. What's the mood like around the Arkansas program right now? Year two, Sam Pittman at 6-3 right now in November.
It's extremely high. They're feeling good about what Sam Pittman is doing. They're feeling good about the coaches that he's brought to the University of Arkansas. They all feel like they can win here. We've won 6 games this year. Over the last couple of years, we struggled to win 2, or in a season. So Sam Pittman has brought a lot of confidence to this football team. He's unlocked the passion of these student athletes on this campus. And they feel like they want to play for him. And they found their love again. And so they're going out there making things happen.
Now let's talk about the offensive side of the ball first. I know it's your passion being a former quarterback. KJ Jefferson, man, he has been certainly steady and consistent. 16 touchdowns, just the 3 interceptions. What has been the biggest thing you've noticed in his growth this year?
I think the biggest thing is what you just said. He only has 3 interceptions. He's really protecting the football, first and foremost. That's the biggest thing. But he's been very, very productive. He's a big guy that can run the ball. He's a big guy that has a nice touch on all deep balls. I feel like he throws one of the best deep balls in America. And if he can get Traylon Burks behind you, he's going to hit it. So his ability to run the football, run the option, run the RPO, be a short yardage goal line back gives Arkansas an additional running back in the backfield. And, I tell you what, he's been really nice in the passing game. Kendall Browns is dialing up some things with him. He's not a Felipe Price kind of guy. And Kendall Browns has said, hey, we're going to love the one we're with. And we're going to do what KJ does best. And they're going to run it first, and they're going to try to hit you over the top.
So you mentioned Traylon Burks. I think that's a guy we all know and has first-round NFL potential. Who else is on that offense that's a playmaker that could impact this game?
I think you got a guy that's really starting to come on, a guy named Dominique Johnson. He got his first start last week. He's a running back, and he had 17 carries for 108 yards and was very, very good. He's actually a guy that Sam Pittman was trying to motivate early on in the season, moved him to tight end for just a brief couple of days. Dominique didn't like tight end, and so when he got a chance to come back to running back, he started running like crazy. So we say, hey, if anybody's having a slump, move them to tight end, and then they'll come out of it. But Dominique Johnson is a guy that is really good. We thought Rocket Sanders, a running back as well, was going to be the guy that was going to carry the torch. But between those two now, Dominique Johnson has moved ahead of all of them. And Rocket Sanders is right there, number 2. And the guy who was our best running back last year, Tre'Wan Smith, he's the 3rd guy right now. So we feel good about the running back group at Arkansas. They're very deep, they're very diverse, and they're very big.
Quinn Grovey is with us, former Arkansas quarterback, member of the Arkansas Razorback Network. What about the offensive line that was such a staple there under Brett Bielema? How does that matchup play out with Arkansas's offensive line against that LSU defensive front?
That's $1 million question, man. LSU is always going to be bigger. They're always going to be faster. They're always going to be stronger. But I don't think that's mattered a whole lot in this contest when you're Arkansas. We've had some teams that wouldn't even come close to the talent of LSU, but we've always played them tough. And now I think this offensive line has some confidence. They're bigger. They average about 6'4", 300 pounds. They're over 300 pounds, 315 pounds. And so now, for the first time in a long time, Sam Pittman is starting to get an offensive line that matches up. I still think LSU will be bigger, they'll be faster, they'll be stronger. But this offensive line is going to rely on continuity, playing a lot of games together. Ricky Stromberg, by far, is the leader of this offensive line. He's your center. He makes all the calls. You've got to have Myron Cunningham on the outside, being able to protect KJ's backside. I think they feel like they'll be able to go in and run the ball and execute their offense.
Hey, Quinn, let's flip the field. It's such an interesting game because LSU, we know Max Johnson's been the starter, but Garrett Nussmeier is going to play in this game. Ed Ogeron has said that. So one big question for LSU is how they manage the quarterback position. But for Arkansas, how do you defend that when there isn't a lot of film on Garrett Nussmeier and you're really not sure how LSU is going to approach that position?
First question I would ask, Matt, and I haven't watched LSU a whole lot other than this week, is, it looks like Max Johnson is having a great year. I mean, the guy's completing 60% of his passes, 2,169 yards, 22 touchdowns, only 6 picks. I'm wondering why he's even playing another quarterback. I guess we'll find out.
People getting spoiled, man. People getting spoiled. Joe Burrow's spoiled. For a program that didn't have a quarterback for a decade, Joe Burrow wrecked everybody.
Well, it's something weird to me, man. But I don't know how you're going to handle that. I would have thought that Max Johnson, he's won a few big games for you. This Nussmeier kid, I know he has a name as well. I'm anxious to see how he handles it. But he's been in the game, 11 of 26, 42%, only one TD. I mean, maybe there is some upside to him, but how they manage that, I mean, that's Coach O's. That's Coach O's deal. I mean, so I don't know how he's going to do it. But anytime you take Max Johnson out of the game, in my opinion, you're giving Arkansas an advantage.
Interesting. Now, what about that Arkansas defensive front? The LSU is going to be down its 2 starting offensive guards. What does that defensive front look like?
So the defensive front that we're going to run is basically a 3-2-6. And we've got 3 grad transfers that came in that really impacted this defensive front. Markel Utsey, you got Trey Williams, and then you got John Ridgway. John Ridgway is a big guy from a transfer from Illinois State. And at the nose tackle position, the guy is 6'6", 320 pounds. Trey Williams is a guy that transferred from Missouri, and he's a pass rushing machine. And then Markel Utsey is a guy that was at Missouri as well. Those 2 played under Barry Odom at Missouri, so they followed him here. But that defensive front is really nice. And what they do with that 3-2-6, those 3 down linemen are really trying to eat up 2 gaps, which allows the linebackers to run free. They're all about run fit. And Grant Morrison, Aiden Henry, Bumper Poole, and that secondary, they do a nice job of run fit. In the first 4 games, they were lights out. And in October, they went 1-3. The defense really struggled. Everybody was able to run the ball on. So they feel like after this bye week, they're ready to go, and they're going to be flying around. And then hopefully they can handle LSU. LSU hasn't been running the football. I'm surprised about that too. LSU has not been running the football like you would normally expect. I think that would help their quarterback situation. But at the end of the day, this defense has been pretty solid, and Barry Odom is one of the best in the conference.
What happened? I agree with you about Odom, by the way. I mean, LSU kicked the tires there last year. A lot of people wanted Barry Odom in Baton Rouge. But what happened? I watched the Ole Miss game. I mean, 52-51. What happened in that game?
Well, they were able to run the ball. They absolutely ran the football. Snoop Connor gouged it. And our 3-2-6, we struggled stopping the run. And a lot of it goes to not having a whole lot of depth. And when you lose players and you start playing second-teamers, things drop off just a little bit. And I think that's what happened. We got caught up in a lot of depth issues, and Ole Miss just absolutely just gouged us. And our run fits weren't there. We were a step slow because we were banged up. And that's one of the things that Sam talked about is, hey, we're a beat-up team after that game, and we're beat up, and we can't – those plays we were making in the first 4 games, we're a step slow right now because we're beat up. And that's why that bye week came at the right time, and they're talking about making this stretch run. But I think it's a combination of a couple of things. One, you're a little beat up, and two, the depth is not there, and Ole Miss will take advantage of it in the run game.
Quinn Grovey, a couple more minutes, former Arkansas quarterback, now member of the Arkansas Radio Network. If there is a blueprint that Sam Pittman has for how Arkansas would win this game, how does it look?
Oh, I definitely think it's running for 240 yards. If you can get to your average of running yards, 243 yards a game, which you've done all season long, if you can do that, that gives you a chance. And normally I would be worried about LSU running the football. I'm not sure what their identity is on offense, so I really don't know. As long as we play fundamentally sound, I think we'll be okay. I think I put my trust in Barry Odom. But to me, it's going to come down to offensively, can you run the football first and foremost? And if you do, will that force LSU to do some things on the outside where they have to play Traylon Burks one-on-one? Teams have tried to do it. Nobody's been successful. Right. So we'll see what happens with that.
And you think LSU might have a more of an opportunity to do that if they had Derek Stingley healthy or Elias Ricks. They don't, so it certainly complicates that matter and how you deal with a guy like Burks. Quinn Grovey, Arkansas Radio Network, former Hog quarterback. Hey, man, before you go, you obviously, look, but your eligibility was done before Arkansas came into the league, but you've gotten to see this game a lot over the years, obviously being Baton Rouge. What's your thoughts on just the series itself, the LSU-Arkansas game and the battle for the boot?
I love it. I love this matchup. Ever since Arkansas came into the league, they've been trying to find a rival. I still don't know that we have a rival. I know LSU has been a big one for us, and everybody that we try to have a rivalry with, they've got another rival. And so it's like we're chasing the girlfriend that's already got a boyfriend, kind of deal. and so, but I think that's going to help us whenever Oklahoma and Texas comes into the league as well. So I think we'll find our rival. But this has been a game where rosters don't matter. It just seems like y'all have always had the better talent, but we've always battled. And this game has always come down to the end. So I don't expect anything different down in Death Valley.
Gwen, we appreciate a couple of minutes, man.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
They said I was small, weak, said my heart wasn't strong enough. But I showed them what heart looked like, again and again and again. Mom got me the right care, the right doctors with Blue Cross coverage. Don't let people tell you who you are. Show them the right card, the right care.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
To the heroes who are working tirelessly to care for our communities, we thank you. We will never forget the countless hours you dedicated on the front lines, choosing to risk your own health to fight for our friends, neighbors, and family members.
I mean, you guys are out on the front lines, fighting it.
We are grateful for your heroic acts and unwavering spirit. Together, We are overcoming this adversity and make our state healthier and more vibrant again. Ochsner Health.
Starting in 1974, Central Plumbing has served Baton Rouge and surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Through these tough and trying times, we want you to remember that the Payne family is here to continue to support and
Eagle 98.1.
Stetson Bennett runs it in for Georgia. The number one Bulldogs leading Tennessee 17-10 on the ensuing possession. The Vols punt. So Georgia here with 6 and change to play at the end of the first half. Leading by 7 over Tennessee up there on Rocky Top. Chance maybe to extend their lead a little bit. We'll keep you posted. Miami's on the board. It's Florida State 17-7 on top of Miami, and Ohio State just absolutely blitzkrieging Purdue. They're going in the end zone again as we speak. It's 41-14. PAT pending.
So not the spoiler makers today. I guess not. Yeah, that's you're running into a buzzsaw, and I think as this thing rolls along, Ohio State realizes they're right back where they always are, right in the thick of it in the college football playoff. They just got to handle business. So you're gonna be getting their full the full width of Ohio State for the rest of the season on here.
Well, that's a certainty. What is an uncertainty is LSU's quarterback spot, because we're expecting to see both guys, Max Johnson and Garrett Nussmeier. Ed Ogeron, during his Thursday media availability, his last media availability of the week, went through how the week of practice was for the quarterbacks.
About what I expected. Every day they were competing. One day Max would do well. The next day Garrett would do well. I think Max still has the edge. There was nothing glaring to say, hey, Garrett should be over him, but we got to see. Full speed action, they both go get their chance.
Both going to get their chance. All right. So, as a player, what's it like when you're in a huddle and you got different signal callers coming through?
Yeah, I've never actually been in that environment, high school level, college, or NFL level, where once the season actually started, you're in live game action and you don't know who the starter is. But I've seen it. I've seen other teams go through it, and most of the time you're licking your chops when a team doesn't know who their leader, who their quarterback is, and what guy's going to trot out there and lead them to victory. It's a good thing for the opposing team most of the time, because I can't point to many times in college or NFL history where you can do that and ride it to the top and actually win a championship or do the things that LSU fans are used to doing. So I don't like it. I wish we kind of gave Garrett the keys and let him do what he had to do today. And if it didn't look good, then you can redshirt him and go back to Max. But when you go back and forth, it just creates a bunch of little weird things that can happen in the game flow. If Max starts the game off and he scores the first 2 possessions, are you going to take him out or are you going to leave him in there? So that's the kind of things that you kind of open the door up for, but that's what they're going to do today, and I guess all we can do is wait and see what happens.
So as a player, you'd like them just to pick a guy and stick with it? Mm-hmm. What if they stuck with Max?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. I think Max has shown, obviously, what he's capable of. Obviously, the play hasn't, progressed from his true freshman year, but I think we've seen him make some throws. We've seen him do some things where if they feel like that's going to be the guy that give us the best chance to win down the stretch, and I think you could, especially when you're playing ULM and you're playing an Arkansas team that's given up 50 points before. I think Max can play well against those type of teams. So I wouldn't be upset with that either.
We have seen instances where multiple quarterbacks have been able to positively affect a team. The best example is probably Florida in 2006. Chris Leak was the starter, but Tim Tebow as a freshman had a role, and it worked, and they won a national championship. So there are instances, I think, where that can work. This doesn't strike me as that, though. This isn't Garrett Nussmeier coming in with a special package that keeps the defense off balance, because he's got a different skill set. This is, we're not sure if the other guy is better or not, but we don't want to fully commit to this guy, so maybe play them both. It feels a little bizarre. I guess the only thing that I hope throughout the game is I hope that they recognize the flow of the game, because the worst thing is if you predetermine how you're going to do it. It's a series here, a series there, or 2 series, 1 series. I don't think it allows a player to get into the flow of the game. And I think what you just alluded to is, what happens if Max leads a touchdown drive, but the next series is Garrett's turn? Well, no, you just had success. Stick with what's working, right? Yeah. It does create kind of a complex scenario out there today. I'm going to be very interested to see not only how Garrett plays, but how they determine how they're going to dictate and divvy up these reps.
Yeah, that's the biggest question. I think, especially situations like this, I think it's so important to have a plan. And if you look at that Florida team in 2006, they had a plan. They didn't let Tim Tebow go out there and throw the ball. Chris Leak had 365 attempts for the year. Tebow had 30. So it just shows you they didn't want Tebow in those situations, throwing the ball time and time again. I think that's the exact opposite of the case with Garrett this week. I think they want him trying to throw the ball downfield. They want him trying to complete passes and doing the things that they know his arm is capable of doing. So I think it's a slightly different situation. I just hope that Pete and the rest of this staff, they have a plan. They know what they want to do. Maybe they have some plays where they get Garrett to the edge on some rollout stuff, maybe some play action stuff, but try to do something different. Don't try to just go out there and just marry the plan to what Max has been doing all year. Do some stuff for Garrett that he does well, and hopefully that can, make this offense a little more explosive and more efficient.
It's worth mentioning that Nussmeier, for those who don't know, has one more game. He played 4 games and still maintain a redshirt year. So that's kind of been the conversation is, are they going to burn Garrett's redshirt year? He's got one more game. So he can play today and still maintain a redshirt year. But it feels like if you're going to go that direction and he plays well enough, then you got to be committed to playing him again moving forward. So we'll see how the quarterbacks do in this ball game today. 2.5 hours from kickoff, LSU and Arkansas. In about 25 minutes, we'll pass the baton to Hunt Palmer on the LSU Sports Radio Network as they count you down to kickoff. We will come back, get you caught up on the rest of the scores. One final look at scores from around the country right now. We'll still go inside the stadium with Michael Cobble from WBRZ Television. Keys to the V, a lot to do as we roll along here on Eagle 98.1 Game Day, presented by Home Bank and your Super Chevy dealers.
When I was a boy, I spent my days climbing trees, catching fish. Barefoot in the river I walked, listening to crickets, counting stars. This was home. After my stroke, I wondered if I'd make it back to the people and places I love. But I got the right doctors with Blue Cross coverage. Your card matters. Your home does too.
The saying goes, desperate times call for desperate measures. But Louisiana heat is nothing to play with. AC outages hurt everyone. Don't be a victim. Call Accutemp and schedule your maintenance check today.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Front to Back Boat Service has been family owned and operated for 30 years. And the Sherman family is NMEA certified. That's the National Marine Electronics Association at Front to Back. They are committed to improving the safety and technology of marine electronics through installer training, interface standards. And look, the fall and the winter, it's the perfect time to do that yearly maintenance you've been putting off. Get those parts you've been wanting. So schedule your appointment today at Front to Back, North Airway off of Airline Highway.
Tonight, we invite you to celebrate life, wherever and whenever you can, understanding that time is never on our side. Instead, gather up your friends tonight and share a few stories and laughs over a good bottle of wine. Or maybe a family meal that gives everyone a chance to reconnect and remember what's really important, whether it's for a birthday, an anniversary, or simply to remind someone special that they are loved. Rafino's, where Louisiana comes to celebrate life.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Eagle 98.1. The Robinson Brothers Ford Lincoln College Football Scoreboard. Robinson Brothers Ford Lincoln, on airline under the giant American flag.
One final check, scores, games going on around college football right now. Top-ranked Georgia Bulldogs leading Tennessee 17-10. That game is late in the second quarter. Georgia does have the football. We'll keep you posted. Tennessee scored first. They led 7-0, then 10-7. Georgia with 10 unanswered, though, to lead 17-10 late in the second quarter. Again, we'll keep you posted right there. Early thought on what you've seen from Tennessee and Georgia?
Yeah, that was my initial concern for Tennessee. Could they score touchdowns consistently, keep getting in the end zone? I knew they can move the ball up and down the field. That's kind of what you have to do to play against that offense. But when you get in that tight zone, can you punch the ball in? I'm not sure they can. So we'll see. Maybe it's a ton of football left. Obviously, turnovers and crazy things can happen. But I just think them in the red zone is going to be their Achilles heel this game.
Yeah, the Tennessee field goal, to your point, was, I believe, from the 11-yard line. They struggled there in that red area on their second possession. Purdue is absolutely getting pounded by Ohio State. It's 42-14 with 4 and change to play in the first half. Ohio State making a big statement that there will be no spoiler boilers up there in Columbus, Ohio today. Utah and Arizona are still in a tight one, man. It's 31-29, Utah on the road in Tucson, leading that game against the 1-8 Arizona Wildcats. I only continue to bring that up because Utah is leading the Pac-12 South, and a loss there could shake up the standings in the Pac-12. We're kind of keeping an eye, of course, on who might play Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game, as they are still staring toward a potential playoff berth. So we'll keep our eye on that one. Minnesota's taking a lead on Iowa, 13-10. That game is in Iowa City. So Minnesota leading 13-10. That is at the half. Southern Miss and UTSA, the 23rd ranked and undefeated Texas San Antonio Roadrunners.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Well done. Well done. It's 10-10. Michigan State, Sparty with a nice bounce back so far. It's 20-7. They lead Maryland late in the second quarter. Finals from earlier today in the top 25. Alabama pounded New Mexico State 59-3. Michigan rallies to beat Penn State in the final minutes there, 21-17. Oklahoma undefeated no more. They fall at Baylor 27-14. Big win for Dave Aranda and the crew. Now the question becomes, can a one-loss Big 12 champion get into the college football playoff? Might that be Oklahoma? Might that be Oklahoma State? We'll see, but that's going to be one of the big questions here for the remainder of the season. Is there a team in the Big 12 that you like of those one-loss Big 12 teams?
I got to see a little more of Oklahoma State. I know everyone's sipping that Gundy juice this year, but I think Baylor, man. I like what Aranda's doing. Obviously, he hasn't coached a ton of college football, but from what he's seen, especially bouncing back from last year to this year, that was a very impressive home win. So I'll probably say Baylor.
Mississippi State, is worth mentioning Baylor has a second loss. I don't know if Baylor – I don't know that I could see a scenario where you get a two-loss Big 12 team in a playoff. There's never been a two-loss team in the playoff, but Baylor is mathematically very much in the mix for a Big 12 championship, and that would be a hell of a statement by Dave Aranda if he gets that team there in year two. Mississippi State was down 28-3. Does that score sound familiar?
Yes.
They scored 40 unanswered. Mississippi State wins 43-34 on the Plains. They upset 17th ranked Auburn.
Man, that's a tough loss for Harsin and the crew, especially at home, coming out dominating the way you did and finding a way to just let them score over and over and over and over again. But I think that's what the Leach offense is designed to do. Keep your D-line out there all day long, make you lose your pass rush, and then you're exhausted and you're trying to slow down that offense. And that's exactly what they did today.
18th ranked Wisconsin beats Northwestern 35-7. Wisconsin 7-3, and they are still alive for the Big Ten championship. Tonight, Texas A&M is at Ole Miss. 9th ranked Notre Dame at Virginia. A ranked matchup in the ACC. 16th ranked NC State is at Wake Forest. That's a 6:30 game on the ACC network. Mentioned Oklahoma State. 10th ranked Okie State. A chance to take control of the Big 12 standings. They host TCU tonight, 7 o'clock on Fox. In the Pac-12, this is a big one. Number 3, Oregon at home against Washington State. That's for the lead in the Pac-12 North. That's a 9:30 Central Time kickoff on ESPN. 22nd ranked San Diego State hosts Nevada tonight. A couple of finals from earlier in the week. Number 21 Pitt beat North Carolina 30-23 on Thursday. And last night, Cincinnati beat South Florida 45-28. There are your scores from around the top 25. It's Eagle 98.1 Game Day. We'll go inside the stadium with our buddy Michael Cobble of WBRZ Television when we return. Stay here.
During these challenging times, we know your healthcare needs don't stop. Cancer, accidents, injuries, and heart disease are relentless. So we are relentlessly innovating to keep you safe, both virtually and in person, connecting you with providers remotely, advancing clinical spaces, providing rapid and accurate testing, social distancing, and certified cleaning protocols. We are Auctioner, and we will not slow down. Auctioner Health, innovating healthcare.
The saying goes, desperate times, call for desperate measures. But Louisiana heat is nothing to play with. AC outages hurt everyone. Don't be a victim. Call Accutemp and schedule your maintenance check today.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
They said I was small, weak, said my heart wasn't strong enough. But I showed them what heart looked like, again and again and again. Mom got me the right care, the right doctors with Blue Cross coverage. Don't let people tell you who you are. Show them the right card, the right care.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance, with the latest in office technology from desktop to production.
Eagle 98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Inside the stadium. Inside the stadium. Presented by GoFlow IV Spa. GoFlow IV Spa, where athletes come to hydrate so they can dominate.
Let's go out to campus. Michael Cobble, WBRZ Television, good enough to join us. Cobbs, thanks for the time. How are you?
Hey, what's going on? Sorry, I lost you there.
Quite all right, man. Set the scene for us, if you would, on campus today.
A little bit more resistance getting on campus, which means there's more people out and about. Obviously, you know, the season the Tigers are having, it's not going to be a packed house, but there are people out milling around. It's chilly. Shadows already all over the stadium, so it'll be dark all throughout kickoff. I'm out here with the cheerleaders again as they get ready, and it's windy inside Tiger Stadium. Looks like the wind's swirling. Flags outside blowing in a different direction than the flags inside. So it should be a great kickoff. You know, everybody talks about fall football weather. Well, we've got it in spades tonight. And, you know, I think there's going to be a good-sized crowd here. Maybe not a great-sized crowd.
LSU still about 20 minutes away from their march down Victory Hill. Would you repeat what you said there about the wind? What's the wind like inside the stadium right now?
Yeah, so it's very windy outside the stadium. The flags are blowing out from the north to the south. But inside the stadium, both end zones are blowing in different directions. North end zone's actually blowing from the south to the north, opposite of what's happening outside. And then at the south side of the end zone down there, not as much wind at all, kind of laying flat right now. So wind might be a factor, throwing and kicking late in the ballgame.
First, yeah, it is certainly worth mentioning. First time LSU's been in Tiger Stadium in almost a month now.
That's what I was going to say, man. Coming in, it really felt like, man, we haven't done this in a long time. So there were more people there. I didn't mean to cut you off and pull a T-Bob, but I sure did, didn't I? Yeah. Yeah, just surprisingly how foreign it felt, I guess, on the way in.
And they say I interrupt people all the time. That's actually the complete opposite of how that works. No, but it's quite all right. People listen to hear the guest. So if you have something to say, I'd much rather hear you say it. So what about Arkansas? Any Arkansas fans out and about today from what you could see?
Yeah, a good number of Hog fans here in town already. I don't think they're taking over the place by any stretch of the imagination, but I think this is a game that, I was listening to you guys earlier in the day. I think this is a game that they want more than LSU does. So it's going to be, or at least it means more to their season than it might to LSU's, even given the situation that LSU finds themselves in. So, I think this is going to be a good environment. Like I said, I don't expect it to be a raucous throwdown, but I'll start walking out. I'm going to walk up the hill, and if by the time I get there I get any better news, I'll share it with you.
No secret here. Garrett Nussmeier going to take some snaps tonight. How do you think he responds to the home crowd really being his first time getting to play in Tiger Stadium?
Jeremy, I don't know that it's going to be the crowd that's going to get him. I think the thing with him is settling him down. As Coach O said, he's a risk taker, and that comes with good and bad. Depending on what happens and how he.
Lost him for a second.
I think Cobble's phone went to the big cell phone in the sky. All right. Let's see if we can get him back. You do a couple more minutes here with Cobble, maybe. We're actually a little short on time, though. But the wind is an interesting point because it does swirl in Tiger Stadium. The same, you've been in there. It's a bowl. I mean, and that can wreak havoc with passes and kicks potentially late in the game if it does come down to that. All right. All right, so, sorry, Cobble, we lost you there. If you want to go ahead and finish your thought on the quarterbacks.
I was just saying, he's known for the quick decision making. Is that something that gets him in trouble, and then they have to rein him back in? We've talked a lot about this. I think this is a misstep. I think the only thing you can do right now would be to start Garrett. You've already tipped your hand that you're going to play him. I think you're giving Arkansas the advantage of preparation. So, I love the idea, but to me, then go full in, start him. Because what if Max goes out there and does well? Are you then taking your quarterback off the field who's, leading you to some success just so you can play the freshman and maybe it gets you in trouble? So I'm now outside the stadium, and I can tell you that there are a ton of Tiger fans here waiting for the walk down. So good-sized crowd. They got a lot better food vendors than I've seen. They actually have a Stella Artois, little Airstream little food vendor beer truck thing, so that's cool.
Good.
Yeah, so it's going to be a good crowd. And, Matt, we talked about this at work. You're going to start to see the pendulum kind of swing back on Coach O, I think, in the last couple of weeks, just like we did with Les at the end of his tenure. You're going to start seeing people, the casual fan that maybe doesn't delve in as deep as talk show radio hosts or TV hosts, and kind of know some of the missteps that have happened along the way. You're going to see a lot of those fans show up and show their support for Coach O. And, that's always exciting and fun. And, you want to have fond memories of a guy that brought you to a national championship. And hopefully they can do that on the field and kind of end this thing the way everybody wants.
WBRZ television coverage after the game tonight. Make sure you're tuned in. He's Michael Cobble on Twitter @Cobble. We appreciate it, man. Have a great night.
Yeah, Matt, and just for people that really want to get in the weeds, this will be the first time we've done post-game live with Coach O after the game.
Okay.
Won't be on Zoom. Everyone will be there asking their questions. We'll have that for you on the various WBRZ platforms, but also maybe something for your listeners to tune into as well.
Make sure you check it out. We appreciate it, Cobbs. Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Be well. Yeah, since COVID, all of the media availability has been done during Zoom. They've just now recently resumed in-person media availability. All right, one thing left to do, keys to the V. What's it going to take for LSU to punch a dub tonight in Tiger Stadium against Arkansas? We'll get to that to wrap up next.
Starting in 1974, Central Plumbing has served Baton Rouge and surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Through these tough and trying times, we want you to remember that the Payne family is here to continue to support and serve you. As a multi-generational business, there is no job that is too big or too small. Residential, commercial, industrial, hospitality, we're here for anything you need. 24/7, 365. Give us a call, 225-925-8552.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
To the heroes who are working tirelessly to care for our communities, we thank you. We will never forget the countless hours you dedicated on the front lines, choosing to risk your own health to fight for our friends, neighbors, and family members.
I mean, you guys are out on the front lines fighting it.
We are grateful for your heroic acts and unwavering spirit. Together, we are overcoming this adversity and make our state healthier and more vibrant again. Ochsner Health.
And the stats are on our side. The COVID vaccine is safe, necessary, and available to you. Take it from this old saint. If we work together, we can beat COVID-19. So join the team and get the vaccine.
Chevy trucks are known for their legendary dependability and capability. And right now is the right time to find your next Chevy truck. It's time to forge ahead with Chevy Silverado. It's time to take on new challenges. And it's time to take it to the next level. It's the perfect time to do more in your next Chevy truck. See your Super Chevy dealers today.
Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Keys to the V. Presented by Coors Light. Coors Light. Mountain cold refreshment made to chill.
We literally have 30 seconds to go.
Keys to the V. Garrett Nussmeier, sling that rock around. Durante Jones, continue to blitz. Keys to the V.
Do not turn the ball over. That's it. You cannot give them extra possessions. You're not good enough to give away possessions.
I'm good with that.
Jeremy Hill, Matt Musso, Danny Cardenas. Thanks, fellas. Been fun. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Hunt Palmer, the guys in the LSU Sports Radio Network are next. LSU and Arkansas. Go Tigers. Let's get a dub tonight.